host, callers, and guests are not those of the BlueBroadcastNetwork.com, Envisage Production Enterprises, DDV Media, LLC, its advertisers, sponsors, or employees.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the 10-2-3 broadcast. I am Andrew Einstein, the host, along with my co-host, the furry little guy right here, Gunner, the service dog. Let's be honest, he's the real star of the show. Every episode here at the 10-2-3 podcast, we're going to dedicate it to a law enforcement officer, a first responder, or a military member who has unfortunately lost their life to suicide. For the inaugural episode, we've decided that we are going to dedicate it to Officer Mike McLaughlin. Officer Mike McLaughlin started his career in the Camden City Police Department. He transferred to the Audubon Police Department, where he also served as a life member for the Audubon Fire Department. On February 8th, 2021, unfortunately, Mike lost his battle to suicide. Mike, this episode is for you. All right, so we are very excited to be here. It's been a long time coming, and here at the 10-2-3, the whole purpose of this is to get the message out about suicide awareness, prevention, living your life after something bad that has happened to you. And when we were trying to figure out who we wanted to have, for our first guest, and how we wanted to set this podcast up and kind of set the show up for a good trajectory, my first thought was this guy right here to my left. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome the Earl Granville. Earl, thank you so much for being the very first guest on this show.
Einstein, it is my honor, man. It's so great to see you again. I mean, I know we go way back, but I couldn't be a more humbled man, so I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. And we have a lot of history, and I can't wait to talk about it. So, before we get into things, I wanted to start off with what I'm going to call the lightning round. All right? So, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want to just, first thing that comes to mind, give me the answer. All right? A little background on why I'm calling it the lightning round. Everything about my podcast, I like to have meaning behind it. Mm-hmm. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she passed away a few years ago. Her nickname was Lightning. So I thought, you know what, she's up there, she's going to hear some of these answers, and I can hear her laughing. So I decided to call it the lightning round. Grandmom, this one's for you, and every other lightning round going forward. So, like I said, first thing comes to mind. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Favorite singer or band?
Oh, Green Day.
Okay. All right. Pepsi or Coke?
Coke.
I don't know. Maybe. All right. Can we get a new guest? Anybody else in here? Where's Lopez? Rick, are you in here? Can we get him in here?
We need an interpreter. We got Lopez. All right.
Yeah. All right. Boxers or briefs?
Boxers.
Ooh, interesting. I really thought you were going to say silkies there. I am wearing
silkies right now, but I'm trying to keep the integrity of the question. There you go.
Hey, if you don't have to keep the integrity. Favorite character in The Office and why?
Oh, Mo. Because why not, man? Holy shit.
With that, favorite episode.
Oh, shit.
For those of you who are watching, little background, you'll hear this, but Earl is kind of an office savant, if you will.
Born and raised in Scranton, ladies and gentlemen.
So, office is a big thing in his life. So, favorite episode.
Oh, geez. I got to say the Dundies, the first one.
The Dundies, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have had a Dundee ready for you. That would have been great. All right. Last question. Why are the Marines so much better and so much better looking than the Army?
Maybe it's all that crayons you eat. I don't know, man. You guys tell me.
I like that you didn't deny it. I mean, thank you.
I mean, we could debate this all day, but we only have 2 hours, all right?
That would take up the whole show. All right. So, Earl, you're 37 years old, born and raised outside of Scranton. What was the town? Carbondale. We'll just say Scranton, right?
Yeah.
It's cool. Everyone knows Scranton from The Office. I don't think anybody knows Carbondale.
Exactly. Same county, down the road.
There you go. All right. You and your twin brother enlisted in the Army after 9/11?
Correct. Okay. Yeah, Joe actually approached me about joining the some type of armed forces, and I think at the time my attitude, Einstein, it was just like, why the fuck would I want to do that, man? Like, join the military, man. I think just who I was at the time in my life, man. Just going to punk shows, and it was just I never thought see myself working for the government, and that's just how my mindset was. But my incentive was free education. I was one of those guys. Take it or leave it, however you want it. That was my reason of joining the military.
Okay.
Right? And I got to say, Joe and I were the worst twins in the whole world. Joe is just so much more straight arrow than I am. And so him joining the military, I could definitely see that. And I wasn't. But like I said, the whole reason was a college education. And
so Joe had like out of high school, he was like, I'm going in some service.
Correct.
Right. And you were like, I'm just going to party on.
Pretty much, man.
I mean, you're like, wait, college sounds like a good idea,
exactly.
But I don't know how to pay for it.
You got it right there, man. Right. The incentive was college. You know.
So how'd you guys select the Army? What was that?
Well, I think Joe went with the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, and I just, hey, what are you doing, man? All right, I guess I'll do that too. That was it. You know, we're going to be infantry, so we drive tanks? Is that what we do? Like, I had no idea what infantry was. It's the truth, man. I mean, I was recruiter's dream. Oh, yeah, man. You get to do all this fun stuff, man. To play laser tag. You know what Miles Gear is? Yeah.
You weren't walking down the mall and the guy goes, hey, you want to pick up chicks? And you're like, yeah, I want to do that. That wasn't you. You're just under that for the recruiter?
Pretty much, man. But, you know, I just went with Joe. I was like, Joe, where are you going? You're going to do whatever infantry is? Well, I guess I'll do that with you, man. And we graduated high school, and off to Fort Benning, Georgia we went, and we landed there for basic training September 1st, 2001.
So this is pre 9/11.
Correct.
So nothing, you know, a lot of people enlisted after the events of 9/11 with
right.
the whole, I have to serve almost, you know, hey, you came to my turf and you punched us and we fell, but we're going to get back up and now we're going to give it to you. A lot of people, I think, felt that, and that caused, you know, I don't know the statistics, but I think history has shown there was a lot of, there was an influx in people signing up.
Absolutely.
So you're actually one of the few, I mean, wow, you're also old, that did you were going to serve regardless.
Mm-hmm.
10 days before. So you were in boot camp. You probably had no idea what you were doing still 10 days into boot camp.
Absolutely. We weren't even actually down line. So I'm sure in the Marine Corps boot camp, you have that, what's that called when you first join, and you go that in process, like see if you have flat feet, see what your medical is like, you know, medical situation is like. We weren't even actually assigned to like an actual.
You hadn't started actual train, like your training days hadn't started yet.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty much, it was all that intake stuff right in the beginning, and just seeing medically if you can actually start it. We're dealing with drill sergeants, but it was just, all right, go to formation, go each out. That was it.
Are they yelling at you at this point? I mean, I know the Army's soft, but you know, are they yelling?
They were giving a shit, you know.
Yeah. Okay,
of course they were.
So you're there. 9/11 happens. Obviously, and this is pre, like, you know, now we're a social media age where I think even soldiers now have like phones and stuff. But there, you had nothing. How did you find out about the attacks?
We were in a barracks, so I have to add this as well. Mm-hmm. We were, all of us in our little platoon in 30th AG, for anybody who did boot camp before Benning, we were in that in-process area. We were all done with the in-process, just waiting for a unit to open up where we could just actually start our basic training. And anybody who was prior service and then going infantry, reclassing of infantry, so they're considered prior service, so they have a little privileges before they actually go to basic training, so they have TVs. These two prior service guys run into a room saying they just bombed the World Trade Center. Mm-hmm. So they snuck us in their area, and Tower 1 was on fire.
Okay.
And that's all we knew at that point. You know, and that's it, and that's that. To be honest with you, I mean, just the ignorance in me, when they said the World Trade Center, I didn't know what the World Trade Center was. I mean, we always...
I mean, you're from Carbondale. So I imagine when I think Carbondale, PA, I'm just thinking cows, chickens, and aside from Lancaster, I'm thinking, you know, just farmland.
Let's put it this way, man. I always called it the Twin Towers, and I think a lot of us did, you know. So, and you were kind of almost spot on with that. So, then we found out, you know, later on through the grapevine, planes hit the World Trade Center. I was like, come on, that didn't really happen. Are you serious? And then all the rumors started. Not only did the Pentagon get hit when it went down in Pennsylvania, but also every monument in D.C. was blown up. You can imagine. So we don't have access to the outside world. So we have no idea what's going on, and the rumors just flew. And people are just running on the payphones, and drill sergeants are screaming at people. Nobody's even listening because we just want to know what's going on.
Absolutely.
And they finally got control of the chaos and told us what happened. And and I realized, well, I guess this isn't about a college education anymore.
So at some point did a drill sergeant or some type of soldier in some instructor capacity, I guess, come in and sit you guys down and give you kind of a gut check of what your service now meant? Type. I've heard. They were doing a Marine Corps documentary of boot camp, and 9/11 happened, and they came in and they said, "You guys are all going to be going to war. We just got attacked." And so I'm curious to see if that happened to you, because you were obviously in boot camp while they were making this documentary.
Right. I think it was mainly right before. Just to keep everyone in order, everyone in line, because we are all young, stupid privates, not even, brand new to the Army. Right before we went to chow, and the drill sergeant was just screaming at us, about what happened, and you piece of shit, get ready, what's going to happen. And it was a gut check. It's a good way to put it. But, and it's, the next morning, it's like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen now,
So I guess, you went in for college and infantry. So, I guess you kind of knew infantry. You're going to learn to shoot guns at some point. You're not going to drive tanks. But as you're going through your training, now knowing that, we had gotten attacked, in your mind, not that you wouldn't have taken the training seriously if we had not gotten attacked, but your plan was to go through this, come back, do the 1 week in a month, go to college, right?
Right.
Now, as you're going through this, are you now going, well, I might leave this training and be going to some country and fighting. So are you now thinking of, I'm literally training for my life? Did that thought ever cross your mind?
It was something much more bigger than an education. So at this point, it's like, this isn't going to be, partying on your drill weekends and partying at college. It was definitely something much bigger. And the idea that we were going to go somewhere and fight a war.
Yeah.
We didn't know where. I mean, at that time, I don't think we even knew where exactly this came from. Like, I think the same thing as an 18-year-old when 9/11 just happens. I don't know what the Taliban was. What's Al-Qaeda again? It's just a sheer ignorance, I think, at the age. And I think a lot of people were like that at my age. Like, wait, who are the Taliban again? And, it's such a normal thing now to talk about. But in that moment, I think a lot of us I think most red-blooded American, when they say Al-Qaeda or the Taliban or anything like that, we didn't know what it was. Does that make sense? Like,
you just knew someone came over, sucker punched us, and they weren't from here, and we're going somewhere to fight back.
Correct. That's pretty much it, man.
Wow. So you finished training.
Right.
What were the events after that? I mean, obviously we know you went to Iraq, but take me through after finishing training.
Well, after training, we went to. I came home and I started looking at colleges, and we got orders for Bosnia, and Bosnia was anybody familiar?
You are old.
Young, stupid private in Eastern Europe, man. Yeah.
Oh boy! Well, you got to party, I'm sure. Maybe. Yeah?
No, not a lot. I mean, it was considered a combat deployment, but there really wasn't much. I feel like a lot of
what do they call it? UAE?
So it was Kuwait, right?
Yeah, Kuwait. Yeah.
The time we were. Now, I'm sure, like anybody out there, if you're unfamiliar with the Bosnian conflict, just read the book "Love Thy Neighbor" by Peter Maas. It discusses what the genocide that was happening over there, specifically from 1992 to 95. It got so bad in 95, NATO forces stepped in and said, look, we got to stop this. So NATO forces stepped in. They were there for such a while until we got there in 2002. And the time we got there, I mean, I think we were the third last rotation over there. There was no real threat to us. Easy deployment. My first time leaving the country. So it was unique. It was definitely, the time I landed over there I was 19. So it was definitely just an experience and a culture shock. And little things, as an ignorant 19-year-old, I saw a little kid in Bosnia wearing a Chicago Bulls hat. And in my mind, I always saw, and seeing some Americanized movies on posters, and I think to myself, it's just, when I took at that, wow, we have a big pop culture setting in the whole world. America does, and our sports teams, our movies, and that's how I perceived Bosnia when I when I saw kids wearing that Chicago Bulls hat, my first patrol outside the wire, and I'm like, what the hell's that kid doing wearing that? What's your Bosnia team? What's your Sarajevo team? But it's just what an influence we have in the rest of the world. It was, it kind of just opened my eyes a little bit of influence America has in a lot of aspects.
Okay.
But I know it's to me that was just unique, and that's what I took a lot of Bosnia. I know obviously there's a lot more, but that was my first ever idea of seeing America, a lot of American things
on other soil.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you went with Joe.
Correct.
Okay. Now my ignorance, Bosnian. Do they speak Russian? Do they speak
I forget the name of the language.
Is it? Did you?
It isn't Russian.
Is it, or a variant of Russian, maybe?
Yeah, I'd say I believe so.
Did you learn any words?
Oh, it's been so long, dude. Like you said, I'm old, right?
Fair enough. So you go to Bosnia. Was that a year rotation?
We were there for about 7 months.
Okay.
We left Bosnia March 19th, 2003. What else happened that day?
Saddam? Maybe? I don't know.
We invaded Iraq.
I was going to say, 2003, I just got to assume Iraq, right?
Yeah, the day we invaded Iraq is the day we left Bosnia.
I'm not old. Okay. So you left Bosnia the day we go into Iraq.
Yep. And then came home. I enrolled in a Lackawanna College in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Can we say that word one more time?
Lackawanna College.
That's a fun word. Lackawanna, not the college part. Lackawanna.
Lackawanna.
That's a fun word.
So yeah, we were. I got 2 semesters in, and Joe
what were you studying? Or what were you going for?
I was going for liberal arts because I didn't know what I want to do. See how important college was to me, right?
Wow.
Well,
okay.
I'm sure you're the same way.
Yeah.
All throughout high school, it was go to college or you won't succeed at anything in life.
I think they were worried about me actually graduating high school. They're like, oh boy, oh man.
So I got I got 2 semesters in, and we got a warning order for Iraq, but it was a volunteer mission. They were sending the 109th Infantry, our unit, over there. And Joe volunteered, and my attitude was like, well, fuck that. If I don't have to go, why am I going to go? Well, because Joe volunteered, I was like, God forbid, here I am at home partying. I couldn't even imagine if something happened to him while I was, just kind of living it up at home.
Yeah.
So I put my big girl pants on, and I volunteered as well. Okay. And I got to tell you, Einstein, that was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I first joined the military, I made it about me. Mm-hmm. What can I get out of this? What could a free education?
In college, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I made it all about me. But going to Iraq and the situations we're in over there, and I got to tell you, man, just becoming an NCO and the guys I was with in 3rd Platoon, man, I realized this isn't about me. Mm-hmm. It's about us.
Okay.
That whole I don't care whether you think we should be in Iraq or not. That didn't matter to me. What mattered was the people I was with.
The guy to your left and right.
Right. And I just, I really loved my job after that. I, was starting to become more of a leader wearing the uniform. And I just really liked what I was doing. And
Were you and Joe in different platoons?
All the time, yeah. They always split Joe and I up. The whole Saving Private Ryan thing, God forbid, we both get killed,
Were you ever able to somehow go on a patrol together?
No, never.
No, you can't.
No, even he was 2nd Platoon, I was 3rd Platoon, and even when that happened, Joe got his sergeant before I did, so I was still a young specialist, and when our platoons worked together, I got stuck working radio bitching the talk.
Because knowing you as well as I do, I feel like you would somehow finagle away, be like, oh, I got this. Like, you would replace somebody, or just figure out a way to go on patrol and just get right behind him and just be like, yo, they'll never know because we look alike. And it'd just be like one person.
We were too different, man. I think our leadership styles, how we carried ourselves, especially in the military.
Yeah.
And people would know.
He was a sergeant?
Yeah, he got sergeant before I did.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, he sounds like the more responsible and
big time. Yeah, Joe. That's just who he is. So, yeah, I mean, we both re-upped our contracts over there. I knew that at this point, Einstein, this is a job I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I loved what I did. We came home from Iraq. I got my associate's degree at Lackawanna, and afterwards, it's funny, when I finished that last semester, we got another volunteer mission, and this one was Afghanistan, with being attached to the 103rd Armor of the 55th Brigade in the Pennsylvania Guard.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I'll fucking go. I raised my hand. I knew this is what I want to do. But Joe, on the other hand, Joe's now married, and him and his wife are trying to start a family. Mm-hmm. And he says to me, hey, man, I can't just volunteer for shit anymore. I think you should stay back, and we will be scheduled. It looks like the 109th was being scheduled to leave for Iraq, being attached with the 56th Brigade in 2009. This is now the end of 2007 when I volunteered.
Okay.
Right? And Joe said, why don't we both just wait and be voluntold to go in 2009? And I said, nah, dude, I'm cutting this cord, and off I went to Afghanistan.
So if you had not gone to Afghanistan, did your unit end up going to Iraq in 2009?
They did, yeah.
We would have been in Iraq together. So thanks.
Oh, get out of here. No shit.
Yeah,
Where were you at?
Al-Assad.
Oh, you were at Al-Assad?
Yep.
I was there 0506.
Yeah.
Did we have this conversation before?
Probably. Many drunk nights. Yeah. Yeah. I was there 09 to 2010.
Get out of here. Yeah, we were, when I was there, it was nothing but Marines. So we were, I command a 7-ton and would bar near. They always say Marines are the worst shit. I'm like, fuck. Your 7 tons compared to our 5 tons, man, they're a lot fucking better, man.
We had to paint the bus stops for you guys because when you took back over, they were too dirty for the Army. So, yeah, I'm like, do we forget we're at war? I don't know. There was no war when we went.
Al-Assad, yeah.
So I want to ask. So after Iraq, I want to get back to Afghanistan, but I want to ask. So in Iraq, did you fight at all?
Geez, man. We landed there in. Okay, let me talk a little bit about Iraq. 109th was split in half.
Okay.
Half were in Ramadi, half were in Al-Assad. Okay, my company, Alpha Company, happened to be in Al-Assad. Okay. My friends that were in Ramadi, they had a shitty fucking time. I don't want to say that. Let me just say it was pretty heavy.
Yeah,
we'll just put it that way. So yeah. So early August, Ryan Ostrom, Bravo Company 109th, he was hit by a sniper. He was unfortunately KA by a sniper. And then September 19th, Specialist Billy Evans, his Bradley fighting vehicle he was driving, they hit an ID and he was KIA. And then September 28th, the big one, heavy shit. Their Bradley fighting vehicle hit a white phosphorus IED in Ramadi. And all 5 in the vehicle were killed instantly, which was PFC Oliver Brown, Specialist Lee Wiegand, Sergeant Eric Slobodnik, Staff Sergeant Ryan Ostrom, and Staff Sergeant Puglisi. And I have to apologize. It wasn't. I'm sorry. No. Staff Sergeant Ryan Ostrom, he was hitting. I'm sorry, I get my names confused here, and I'm so sorry, dude.
That's fine.
Yeah, Ryan Ostrom was sniped in early August, which, as I said, it was Staff Sergeant Daniel Arnold.
Those 5. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you would know. I vaguely remember you kind of telling me about them. Weren't they all kind of from the same area? Where I just kind of remember having a conversation where it was like. It was just such a small area that, it was a huge hit on the community.
Absolutely,
because it was 5 out of this area, which is disastrous for
Correct.
this area.
And then, we back up 9 days prior to that was Billy Evans. He was also from that area. Wow. And Ryan Ostrom was from Williamsport, which is central Pennsylvania. But so we could say 6 were from northeastern Pennsylvania, especially in Susquehanna County. And I believe 2 of them were Lackawanna County, which was Sergeant George Puglisi and Sergeant Eric Slobodnik. So you can imagine for a guard unit it's taking a heavy toll.
Especially, yeah. I think we had that conversation how, like, it's not just, it's one thing when it's active duty, right? But when it's guard, it's impacting the community too, because they're not only just losing soldiers and, you know, fathers, sons, brothers, but you're losing whatever job they had too.
Coworkers.
Police officers, firefighters, teachers, whatever they were.
Right.
So when you came back from Iraq, did you have any issues? Did you see a change in yourself when you came back to, you know, we call the real life, you know, normal America? Was there anything there?
I was 22 years old when I returned from Iraq, and I feel there was a little bit of, you know, I think there was a lot of this, which was a mix of, I'm 22 years old, so I'm at that age, but a lot of it was, I think, there was hardship, definitely losing, you know, friends of mine.
Yeah.
And it was pretty heavy on how I was treating myself, you know.
Well, I mean, you said you went in for college.
Right.
And no one saw the events that happened 10 days after you got to boot camp. And now you're 22 years old and you lost however many friends.
Right.
And now, you know, you're 22 years old, and no 22-year-old, regardless of any type of, you know, adversity in their life, probably, I'd suffice to say, doesn't know how to handle their liquor, right? You know, so on top of that, you've already been dealt a heavy hand.
Correct.
And you're also in a part of the country that probably doesn't have a lot of rules to begin with. Mm-hmm. So you probably got a lot of leeway from the community at large, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe they just said, oh, that's, you know, if you're at the local bar, oh, that's Earl. He served. That's cool. Let him
I think, you know,
get him a shot.
I feel like I didn't make it that noticeable, like I was a sloppy, drunken mess. But I mean, I definitely was going overboard with how I was. I think a lot of us were. I mean, I could imagine the guys in Ramadi, you know, they had, look, credit's given where credit's due. They had a heavier hand.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think their homecoming and the way how they acted were maybe a little different. Okay, put it this way. My platoon in Iraq, we had one Purple Heart, Carey. Okay, and his Purple Heart, they hit an IED, and he got a ruptured eardrum from the blast. That was it.
Wow.
Compared to
Ramadi.
Yep, compared to those guys in Ramadi. Wow. So, like, you know.
And I mean, not for nothing, back then, I'm surprised, you know, that in that time, that's pretty remarkable that he actually got a Purple Heart for that. They were pretty strict back then. Like,
yeah, I mean,
now it's they realize how many of those invisible wounds are really messing people up as the war went on. But back then it was like, oh, if you don't get shot, lose a leg, an arm, or something like that, like you're not getting a Purple Heart, man. Oh, so you know, ruptured eardrum. That's actually surprising to hear. You know,
and there was in other platoons. I remember in HHC, the Scouts. They had a few Purple Hearts as well, but it was all minor stuff. Yeah. Like it wasn't major wounds. You know what I mean? So, but initially, I feel like back to that homecoming. You know, I think it was a little adjustment. Like I said, that deployment, I really adapted to the military culture. I loved what I do, and we were there. It was a 6-month training up with a year in country, so it was like 18 months. So it was a long year and a half. Yeah. And I loved it. You know, I wanted to do more of it.
And you found your niche, I guess. Passion. You know, your passion, and you found something that you wanted to do the rest of your life. Right. And it sounded like, you know, kind of growing up, if you were kind of doing this, you know, you didn't have a straight lane. You finally had that straight lane, and you were going full bore.
Correct.
Until they said stop.
Yep.
So now you say, hey, Joe, I'm kicking over to Afghanistan. And he's like, no, I'm staying back. I think you should too. I want to start a family. Mm-hmm. And you're like, listen, I'm going.
That's what happened, man. So and Joe was employed as a corrections officer at SCI, State Corrections Institution of Waymart, Pennsylvania. So he was a state CO. Okay. And eventually he became a training NCO in the 109th Infantry. So he's at AGR, Active Guard Reserve, which is, I feel like everybody likes. So he wore that uniform every day and was basically active duty. But and here I am off to Afghanistan. On this mission in Afghanistan, we're part of the PRT, Providence Reconstruction Team, And
Provincial Reconstruction Team.
What's it called? Provincial.
Yeah.
I always call it Providence Reconstruction.
That's the civil affairs of me. I got to correct you. It's Provincial Reconstruction Team.
Provincial Reconstruction. I always call it Providence Reconstruction Team because we're reconstructing Providence.
Well, that's in Rhode Island, so it might be the capital. I don't quote me on that, please.
Provincial. I've been calling it Providence for all this time, and I know it wasn't the right word, and I never gave a shit to look it back
up. I guess, it's semantics at this point. But,
the PRT, all right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
There's some boots out there looking at me like, what the fuck, Manny?
Yeah.
That's not
There's
it.
a sergeant major out there, he just made his creases a little bit more creased because he's
knife handing his phone. Yeah. That's not what it is. Where's your PT belts? Come back.
I just thought of the safety briefs.
That has to happen.
So, all right. So, what year is this when you go?
This is 2008.
2008.
We had to train up at Fort Bragg, and then we landed in Afghanistan end of February 2008.
Okay.
And my platoon, we were the security force for the core PRT. And anybody familiar with the PRTs over there, the way how PRTs would work, they would help rebuild infrastructure in Afghanistan. We renovated a hospital in downtown Gardez, which is in the Paktia province.
Big civil affairs job, just saying. Just go ahead.
So anyway, well, we worked a lot with you guys, Army and Air Force Civil Affairs, and renovated the hospital in Gardez. We're working at that, helping rebuild parts of the schools in in the Paktia province, and build wells for villages so they're not traveling very far to get clean drinking water. So it was a very unique mission, and our job in my platoon, we were the security force, and we would escort civil affairs and U.S. civilian engineers to point A to point B. We would escort them there. They'd sit back of our Humvees or MRAPs, whatever we had that day. And we would pull security while they have their meetings with local government and village elders, and then back up and go back. It was a very unique mission. I really enjoyed it, actually, learning a lot about the Afghan culture. And I always try to sit in on some of the meetings. I tell my squad, you guys pull security outside, I'll go inside with it. Sit down, Indian style, Kevlar comes off. Females come and give you bread, and we're having meetings with elders and stuff like that. It was just so unique.
It's one of my favorite cultures. The hardest, and you might understand this, working with the locals, right? They are some of the hardest working, laziest people I've ever met. But I also describe them as the laziest, hardworking people I've ever met. I haven't been able to pinpoint which one I like better because they are so hardworking, but sometimes trying to get them to that point is like pulling teeth.
Right.
But that whole, I love sitting down, the tea, or the chai and the bread, and that whole just sitting there, and just that familial aspect that they have is absolutely amazing.
Right.
By far, probably one of my favorite cultures that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of.
Right.
Absolutely,
I agree with you 100%. Einstein. It was definitely unique. I don't think we barely had any interaction with Iraqis when I was in Iraq.
Same, yeah.
But Afghanistan was a whole different ball game, and I would do that job again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So So like I said, we would escort. Our job, we were the Sec 4, the security force of the core PRT. So what we would do is, I told you what we did, but like I said, they would sit in the back seat. I eventually got staff sergeant. Becoming fancy, right? Got that record, right? Becoming a squad leader, and we had a 4-day mission in this town called Zormont in the Paktia province, and we got the roster, and I saw I was escorting a civil affairs officer named Major Scott Haggerty. Okay, so thing with Major Haggerty, he liked to be in charge of the vehicle he was in. So I saw on the roster, I knew he was going to take that shotgun seat like he does with everybody. And I was like, hey, that's fine, dude. Tell you what, I'll be your gunner. All right? And I put my gunner, Craig Rains, as a passenger in an MRAP. I believe it was an MRAP, but we were in a 1114 up armor Humvee. And in my vehicle, I was a gunner. Major Haggerty was shotgun. He was a commander. Specialist Derek Holland was driving. In the back seat was an Afghan governor. That was working with Major Haggerty on a few things that they were building in the area. So On the fourth day, we went to look at a site where we were going to build a school in the future. And we had to take a different route back to Fob Zormont. That's where we were staging every night. We were just sleeping on their little fob there and fueling up there. And we had to take a different route back as we left the school to head back to Fob Zormont.
Okay.
A lot of choking points getting to the site of the school. And this new route we picked on our Blue Force tracker, our maps.
BFT.
Yeah.
Floppy toast.
So we were looking at a different route. And this new route we decided to pick. None of us has taken it before, but it was open fields. Longer route, but it just seemed much safer than what we take. So, all right, no harm, no foul. On this ride, Einstein, we're driving through this beautiful area that, we, like I said before, none of us has been before. Like, it was real nice. I saw bright green grass for the first. I've been in Afghanistan for 3 months, and where we were at, it was really nice, man. And I came over the headset and I said, "Who the fuck is watering the grass in Afghanistan? This is beautiful here." The next thing I remember, I saw nothing but black. And when you put your head underwater when you go swimming, and it's like the noise you hear when your head's underwater is like a faint noise?
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe what I was hearing at the time. And I felt the momentum. And in my mind, I'm saying to myself, what the fuck is going on right now? And when I came to open my eyes, big, beautiful sky. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon. Well, why the hell am I on the ground? Holy shit. My feet are backwards, and I'm full of blood. The vehicle is completely destroyed. Like, roof peeled right off. We just hit a roadside bomb. All I wanted to do was, assess the situation. Jeez, what the hell's going on? What happened? Is anybody else hurt? Are we under attack right now? I don't even have a working weapon. I tried to stand up. That obviously wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I was completely fucking useless to everybody around me. There's nothing I could do. I heard my buddy Joe Voda yell, "Get him in a body bag." Okay, people are killed. Is it us? Is it them? Is it Afghan police we were working with that day? What exactly is going on? My LT Naylor, he got to me first and he looked at me and he said, "Look, I'll be right back. I have to check the other guys." He took off. I saw Craig Raines, the guy my gunner who I switched. He ran past me and he said, "You're going to be all right, Granny. We're going to get you out of here." And he ran past me. They called me Granny. That was my nickname.
You are old, so.
He ran past me. Joe Voda, the guy the first voice I heard when I was on the ground, he came over, said a quick prayer to me, and then Doc Jones got to me finally. Doc Jones, his name is Eric Jones, Air Force medic, by the way. He started working on me immediately. He said, "Doc, how's everybody else doing?" "They're doing fine. We're working on them. We're going to get you guys out of here." Puts a tourniquet on me, still bleeding. Put a pressure dressing on me, slows it down. Him and a few other guys, they pulled that emergency cord off my vest, and they put me on a litter, and they carried me behind one of the MRAPs. And when they carried me past the MRAPs, they walked me past 2 body bags. That was Major Haggerty, my buddy who took my seat that day, Major Scott Haggerty of Stillwater, Oklahoma, and Specialist Derek Holland of Wind Gap, Pennsylvania. I see their equipment all next to the body bags, so I knew it was them. Derek just turned 20 years old. He was the youngest in our platoon. And this is his last mission before he was going to go on leave.
Wow.
Heavy shit. So, they put me behind the MRAP. They give me a shot of morphine. I get all loopy and shit, and I'm just like, "Man, I love you guys. Thanks for saving my life, man. Fucking A. Man, there goes my dancing career." Like, I just, the shit coming out of my mouth, man. They were telling me about it later. And finally, I heard the medevac chopper come down, and, they picked me up. They put me on a chopper, and before it left, 2 other people got on it as well. That Afghan governor who was in the back seat, and an Afghan police officer who wasn't hurt, but he was going to continue to escort the governor. Okay. So, chopper takes off, and off we go to Bagram Air Base. All I wanted to do, Einstein, now I'm reflecting a little. What the fuck just happened? I'm trying to sit up a little bit and just kind of see how fucked up my feet are, right? And I kept getting one of these, right? Like
They just keep pushing you back. Like, no, lay down, man.
That's what it was. Yeah, and I kept getting pushed back. Now, after about the second or third time, I went to look back, and I'm thinking it's a door gunner, like, you know, in the Black Hawk.
Yeah.
And it was that Afghan police officer. And I look up at him, and he just looks at me, and he shakes his head, and he pets the top of my head.
Wow.
You know, and I thought to myself, man, fuck, man, that was, you know, that compassion. You know,
you couldn't talk to each other because you didn't speak the same language, but you guys talked.
Mm-hmm.
He knew.
Like, yeah, well, I think he was just like, relax, man.
Yeah, man. Like
just chill out.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting to Bagram Air Base. Black Hawk lands. Ambulance comes and picks us up, and it takes us to the hospital there. Start getting x-rays. Doc comes in and he says, we have to do surgery on your right hip immediately. And and I'll never forget this. He's like, is it all right we do surgery? Like, I'm like, no, let me go to the PX first, all right? Like, no, let's fucking do this, man.
I don't have my safety belt on. The sergeant major will kill me.
Right before we went into surgery, once again, that Afghan police officer comes in, and he stands up straight, a big smile on his face, and he does this. You remember that? That's how they always greeted themselves.
Is that why you do that all the time?
That's exactly why I do that all the time.
That's pretty
you notice that?
It's interesting. I've known you for that long. I've never known why you do that. I just thought that was, that's just a sign of respect, and because it's just over there, that's interesting.
I've seen it so many times them doing that, but especially from that gentleman.
You do that too, yeah.
Yeah, but and he started talking, didn't speak English, but we all know body language, and man, that's just like, that will forever sit in my brain. Because I got to tell you what, man, we've heard the horror stories, Green on Blue, the Afghan and Iraq military. We work with them for all this time. It never happened to my guys. It never happened to us.
Happened to my cousin, actually.
Really?
Yeah, Green Beret. The soldier from Jersey, Green Beret, from North Jersey. Probably 8-9 years ago now.
Okay.
My cousin was Green Beret National Guard unit out of Texas. I want to say 18th group, maybe 19th. I don't know, something group. And they had the Green on Blue. And
for anybody out there listening, what Green on Blue is when you're working with like a foreign military or foreign law enforcement, and all of a sudden, in the middle of working, one just starts shooting, us basically.
They turn on you. Yeah, you're supposed to be working together, fighting an enemy force, and they in turn are an enemy force in disguise, and they turn on you and cause harm.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're always supposed to be like, stay vigilant, don't trust these guys. And, some of the shit people say, man, I'm not shaking their hand. They wipe their ass with their hand, shit like that. But this dude right here, man, I'll just never forget it, man. Yeah. And like, obviously he's, he did not have to do any of the shit he did. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
that was cool to go out of the way like that. And it always made me think different about those people over there. I'm like, you know what, man, they're just born in this situation. This is where they're, this is the life they lived when they were born. And that's that. I mean, it sucks that it happens sometimes. It really fucking sucks, but they're not all bad.
No, absolutely. Now, do you know what happened to the governor?
I'm not sure. The time I left Afghanistan, when I went under for surgery, the next thing I remember, I wasn't in Afghanistan anymore. But from my understanding later on, I found out the last thing we found out is he was still alive.
Okay.
And he was. I was 24 at the time. This guy, my guess, would probably be in his 50s. And obviously, I think age has to do with your injury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How you recover. Yeah. So, he looked pretty beat up.
Yeah.
So, the next thing I remember, I'm having a nurse pulling a breathing tube out of my mouth. And did you ever get out of surgery and you're kind of losing your shit? Like, you don't remember, like, what the fuck am I doing here kind of deal? When you first wake up from surgery, and that's what I was doing. And why is this person pulling something out of my throat? Right? And after, I calm down, she calms me down, and she says, by the way, you're at Landstuhl Air Force Base in Ramstein, Germany. So I'm on a whole different continent at this point, not remembering anything. Right?
Wow.
And the last thing I remember, I was going under surgery, talking to that Afghan.
In Afghanistan.
Right, yeah, in Afghanistan.
Now you're in Germany.
Yep. So a whole different continent, way far west.
Yeah.
So doctor comes in later and he says, here's what's going to happen. Your right leg is pretty beat up, but we think we could save it, so we're going to consider it limb salvage for now. Your left leg, you have options. if you keep it, it's going to be dangling. You'll probably be in a wheelchair or crutches, or you could get rid of it below the knee. And I'm like, get rid of it. A few days later, the next day he said, we can't save your knee. Get rid of it. So that's where I'm at now. So I'm considered a knee disc or tech or an above knee. So I have a full femur and no knee on my left leg. And I got to say, man, my attitude through all this shit, I could say with confidence, man, I got lucky. What else do I have to complain about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not like my nuts got blown off, right? Just saying, right? Could have been a lot worse.
Did you think to check?
Yeah, of course I did.
Was that a thing? Like, we had a guy who got hit with a grenade, and he's from New York, and I remember him just yelling, Doc, check my dick, make sure it's there. He's like, I'm not checking. He's like, it's yours, you check. He's like, no, I can't look. If it's not there, and he's like, you can check, man.
Come on, man. Yeah. That's a good buddy. Like, check my dick. Yeah. Like, like, we're really bros now, man.
So did they take your leg in Germany?
Yes, they took it in Germany, and I actually asked them if I could have it.
Get in a jar?
Yeah, like, what the fuck? It's mine, and they said no. And like, there's nothing more mine than that. All right.
I mean, I feel like you had a good argument based on. I'm still baffled by the fact that they asked you if it was okay to perform surgery on you in Afghanistan. I mean, you literally showed up to boot camp and they just started shooting your arms and butt with God knows what, full of vaccinations and whatever, because we signed up for it, and yet they asked you if it was okay to perform surgery on you to save your life. Like, that's when the government says, we'll see if it's okay with you. Like, that's the line they draw.
I gotta say, it's safe to say, I think that that doctor, he was like, hey Earl, we gotta do surgery, is that all right? And I'm like, it's all right, man. Like, my life is in your hands at this point, dude. Like,
Are you asking me because you don't think you're that confident? Like, what are you trying to get here? Like, you're like, you want me to say no because you're like, oh God, he really wants me to do this. Oh no. Oh, it's gonna make my percentage go down.
Man, I gotta, but in all of it, Einstein, dude, I got lucky, man. So I was there for a few days. June 8th, 2008, I got the green light to fly back to the United States, and Walter Reed Army Medical Center, this is going to be my home for a while.
All right. So now so June 8th, you come back or you fly back to Walter Reed.
Right.
All right, from Germany.
Correct.
So you've gone to a couple continents. So I want to talk about Walter Reed, but we're going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when we come back, we are going to continue that. We'll finish up your story with Walter Reed because I know the story's about to get real deep, and I know you guys. 15-minute break. No, I said 3.
Oh, you said 3?
I said 3.
I heard 15. Sorry.
I'm the deaf one, not you. I'm sorry. For everyone that's listening who can't hear, my producer, allegedly, Josh.
I hang out with Chris. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he heard 15 minutes. We're going to take a 3-minute break or so. We'll be right back. And when we get back, we're going to really dive into the rest of Earl's story. It gets pretty deep, and it's you don't want to miss this. So stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If we were to tell you there's a doctor who truly cares about the men and women of law enforcement and offers flexible hours to suit your busy schedule, would you believe us? Dr. Alex and the staff at Tri-State Health and Wellness have been serving the men and women of law enforcement for more than 10 years. Whether it's physical therapy, family medicine, pain management, or general health and wellness, Dr. Alex is the doctor to see. Find out more and visit BlueTristate.com. That's www.BlueTristate.com. MortgagesForBlue.com from Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. Michelle Hendershot and the team at Homebridge Financial can assist you every step of the way. With over a decade of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today at MortgagesForBlue.com. As a first responder, you can't take care of others until you take care of you first. That's why a simple cardiac stress test can give you peace of mind so you can perform your day-to-day duties without any worries. Remember, good cardiac health includes scheduling a simple stress test, and doing so is simple. Visit www.bluestresstest.com. Do it for you and all who depend on you. VisitBlue.com is an online law enforcement-friendly business directory. At VisitBlue.com, you'll find a wide array of business professionals that support the men and women of law enforcement. If you're looking for a healthcare professional, a real estate agent, home improvement contractor, and even the best restaurants, then it's time to check out VisitBlue.com. Visit www.visitblue.com now. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group. Located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey, Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a non-profit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. TheBlueApparel.com. Be blue. Be proud. Buy blue. The official law enforcement apparel source for the men and women in blue. It's not just apparel. It's our way of life. Visit www.theblueapparel.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. And now, back to the program on the Blue Broadcast Network.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back at the 10-2-3 podcast. When we left off, Earl Granville, the Earl Granville, he was just getting into the deep part of his story. He had just gotten flown from Afghanistan to Germany. He woke up in Germany. They talked about taking his leg. They took his leg, and by take, I meant amputate. Now he's back in Walter Reed to finish his recovery. So, Earl, let's continue on. We're getting into it.
Sounds good, dude.
Yeah, it's about to get real deep for everyone watching. This is, Earl's story is probably one of my favorites, and you're about to understand why. So,
well, I left Germany June 8th, 2008. It was my cousin Paul's birthday, and my buddy Mike Weeks. They both share a birthday, so yeah, here's to you guys coming back to the States. Got to Walter Reed. Went right to the ICU, and the third day there, my immediate family got the green light to come down. So, my mom, my dad, my siblings, and one by one, they would come visit me in ICU. Now, I got to say, honestly, I was in good spirits, right? I could say that with confidence. Like I said, it could have been a lot worse. So, I remember first my mom came to visit. She left, and my dad came in. He visited, and one of my older siblings did. But eventually, there was Joe, and it's like, dude, man, so good to see you.
let me ask you this: so you're in your own room, right?
Yes,
and you're like, are you medicated, or are you pretty? I mean, obviously you're on some medications, but are you like with it, like? You're not loopy all the time because of the medications, or like, are you just?
I felt exhausted. I didn't eat I have not eaten since before I got hurt.
Okay.
Like I was on that. Was that button? Lidocaine, I think it's called. Like every 15 minutes, you push a button and they pump you with meds.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The morphine.
Yeah, but they called it something else, but it was something like morphine.
Yeah.
Ativan, is it?
Ativan.
Well,
Ativan?
Hypothetically, I don't know.
Allegedly, he
whatever
knows.
it does, it fucks you up, man.
Yeah.
Hit the button, it gets you. I was a little loopy because I'm so medicated, but I mean, I was coherent.
You were with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did you know Joe was coming to see you, or was it just if someone showed up, they just showed up?
Well, I got word my family was there, so I was like, "Oh, that's great to see." And so, like I said, one by one, they would come into my ICU, right in the beginning.
When you first saw Joe, right? Obviously, so this whole thing was you were here because of Joe, right? You were in the army because of Joe,
correct?
And he got you to go to Iraq. You wanted to get him to go to Afghanistan, right? So now you're sitting here or laying there. What goes through your head that when you first see him?
I knew out of everybody, Joe's gonna take it the worst. I just knowing Joe, man. He's fucking like, yeah, we're twins, but he was more like an older brother than a twin to me.
Yeah. Who is older?
Joe by 35 minutes, which is a long fucking time for
so
twins.
You're not twins. Yeah, he is your older brother. You're not twins. Wow. You've been lying this whole time? Wow, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me, man. Maybe like, hey, I got some room and I'm fucking
I like
staying here, man.
It's nice and warm.
But it's just Joe's personality, who he was, man. He just like I said, he got promoted before me.
Yeah.
He was very good at his job in the Army. Not that I wasn't good, he was just very good, and I was just an average soldier, I feel like. So it's just who he was. And when he saw me, I was in good spirits. Here I am in the hospital bed. I have a wound vac coming out of my stump. More lines coming out of me, and I'm smiling. Hey man, it's like I didn't even know what to say. But I was smiling. I was just happy to see him, you know. And he says, "I should have just gone with you." The fuck you mean should have just gone with me, man?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, we wouldn't have been together anyway. Second of all, if you were, you might have been killed, dude. So
I could have been him.
Yeah, exactly. So like, what? And I just like, dude, it's not like my nuts got blown off. I'm here,
So is this picture we have up right now? Is that day?
Yeah, that is that day.
So that's the first time you saw your brother since
Correct.
leaving. And you got there in February, so this is math is not good for me. So 5 months later ish, June 8th. So February,
about 4 months later.
4 months. Okay, that's the day you saw him.
Yep.
Wow. How'd that conversation go after that?
I can't remember a lot of it, but I was like, man, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about Walter Reed except a year prior to that. Before I went to Afghanistan, there was a huge scandal about Walter Reed. I don't know if you remember that. There was
No.
So I guess the care that they were giving the wounded veterans that were at Walter Reed wasn't the best at the time, and their living conditions mainly. And that's all I really knew about Walter Reed. That's it. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. But like I said, that's the only thing I knew about Walter Reed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. So here I am in Washington, D.C., seeing my brother, seeing my family. But I said, I don't know exactly what was said, but I know it was like, Joe, I'm fine, man. I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And eventually, I got moved out of ICU after more surgeries, and I was put in Ward 57. And, a few more surgeries there. And then finally, I became an outpatient living at a hotel at Walter Reed, the Malone House. And, it was one thing I got to tell you, Einstein, about Walter Reed Army Medical Center. Now, first of all, I have to say, this is 2008, all right? The year prior was the surge in Iraq. So, you can imagine there's people all like me around me. My culture at Walter Reed is a bunch of other wounded men and women from Iraq and Afghanistan. Like, I was just there last week. I still go there for my prosthetics.
Yeah. And
in that area, it's like a ghost town.
Yeah.
But back then, there were so many of us there. It's not that the wounded veteran was so popular at the time, because I feel like there were so many of us. Like, so many celebrities want to come down and visit the troops, politicians, and like, we're monkeys at the zoo doing physical therapy, and people are watching us. Like, you really don't care. Get out of here.
Well, speaking of physical therapy, while you were there, you kind of became a celebrity yourself.
What do you mean?
On an episode of NCIS, was it? Where you were on the treadmill?
Oh, that was
it?
No, it was that Marine show. You should. What's that Marine?
Oh, Quantico? No,
not Quantico. I remember that. Holy shit! Yeah, it starred the lady who she was in Claire Danes. Was she in Terminator 3?
No, Claire Danes was in. Oh crap! Wasn't that with the CIA or something?
No, I think it was I downloaded the episode on my iTunes.
I remember you posted it like a couple months ago.
Yeah, it was right at the beginning of the episode where it started. That's all I've ever watched was that part.
It's just you like running on the treadmill. We have a celebrity here, so right. I'll take that autograph afterwards. But
so I got to tell you, Einstein, dude. Like I was saying, there's so many of us there at Walter Reed. And you think of Walter Reed as like a somber place. Okay, you got like careers are coming to an end, lives are completely altered. Spouses are leaving their loved ones because they can't handle their injuries. Hey, what's going on, right? So you think of it as a somber place, and man, it was like I felt like it was the complete opposite of that. And the reason why, it's like, you got to remember, a lot of these people in the situation that I'm in right now, I was 24 when this happened, and the average age, I would guess, was the mid to late 20s or early 30s.
Wow.
So, like, everybody around me is, around my age.
Yeah.
Right? And we still want to live active lifestyles.
Absolutely.
And that warrior spirit never left. One thing, I know you could attest to this, man. One thing I learned in the military, we always bust each other's chops.
Really? No. Do we? Is that thing? No?
And that did not fucking stop.
Yeah.
The Army and the Marines are duking it out. What's a better branch?
Well, you answered that right off the rip.
Well, yeah.
Well, I'll say you didn't deny
that's
it.
debatable.
You didn't deny
that's debatable.
Yeah, you didn't deny it. You just said it's because we eat crayons.
Nobody still likes the Air Force, man. It's just like
the Coast Guard's part of the Department of Transportation. So.
that warrior spirit and that culture never fucking left. And looking back, I feel like that was so important in all of our recovery. Like if I went to the VA hospital in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Walter Reed, I learned how to snowboard again, and with a Vail, Colorado, with a special leg. I was introduced to sled hockey, so it's disabled version of ice hockey. And the Paralympics, the U.S. team, the national team, where the past 3 Winter Olympics where we took the gold medal, which has never happened.
Yeah.
Back to back never happened. So now we're back to back to back. So, and it just a lot of those guys I played hockey with at Walter Reed have gold medals and made the national team and the Olympic team. I was asked to try out in a matter of 30 seconds in Rochester, New York. It was 5 days of tryouts. The first day, 30 seconds was like, there's no fucking way I'm making this team.
I think you told me that you were like, oh, this is awful.
Oh man, these guys were.
Like this is awful.
They were just amazing, and I'm like, nope, I'm not fucking making this team, man. Like just amazing, and a lot of them were my friends. Like Paul Schaus, he's a Marine. He lost both his legs, and I gotta tell you, man, it's just. But my point is, the rehab at Walter Reed. I want to be who I am today. It was the start of this journey of this new way of life of missing a leg. And it all started at Walter Reed. So, credit's given where credit's due. My physical therapist, Kyla, my occupational therapist, Oren, my prosthetist, his name is Art. Like, it all started with those guys.
It's funny that when I was in the hospital in Afghanistan, there's 2 people that really had a really big impact on, I guess, my recovery. The psychologist, who, when I first went to her, I didn't want to say anything to her. One, I knew I got hurt, and I knew back home I was a cop, and she didn't know that, and I was afraid anything I said would somehow find its way back, and I'm afraid that anything I say is going to cause me to lose my job, right? And obviously I was dealing with a lot of issues, and she's like, you don't look like you've slept. I said, I haven't. Like, I'm not sleeping. Mm-hmm. And she brought it out of me. And she said about the nightmares. And every time I closed my eyes, I saw Danny getting shot. And she said, hey, listen, I get it. You don't want to replay it. And she said, look at it this way. Right now, that memory is a speed bump. And you're driving at 25 miles an hour over that speed bump. Let it play over. Close your eyes. Let it play. It's going to hurt. As you let it play out, you're here, you're controlled, you're safe. We're going to make sure you're safe. That speed bump is going to turn into a speed hump, and that speed is going to go down. And eventually, that speed bump or that speed hump is going to become flat road. You're still going to be going at a speed, but that memory is going to become almost normal. And if it weren't for her explaining that to me, I probably wouldn't have slept for another couple, like I would have lost my mind.
Right.
And because of that, I forced myself to get through those memories, and it really helped. And then the occupational therapist, I wish I remembered both their names. I remember him do it. He taped a laser pointer to my head, and he put a box, he taped a box on a thing, and I had to stand on a foam pad.
Okay.
And he said you have to keep the laser pointer, and he made the box smaller as the days went on. And I mean, I can barely stand, let alone get this. This thing is all over, and I'm laughing at myself at how ridiculous it is that a grown man can't do this simple task. And I'm like, dude, I don't know how you're not dying laughing at this. Like, I get you're this is a serious job, but like, come on, man, this is pretty funny. And he explained what everything, and those two people like really had a profound impact on like why everything happened and how I started to get better with it. And I didn't even realize it until like years later. So it's interesting how those people, when you're going through that recovery, have that impact, and you may not even realize it until later.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Reflecting.
Yeah.
And when I just remember Oren, he was probably a little older than me, and he was a ball buster, and it was just, he made it like we weren't working. Like, I'm wearing a prosthetic. I had to, one of the things we did, instead of sitting there at the parallel bars and just going side to side.
Homeland,
that's it. Yep.
A lot of people, I just looked over, a lot of people are like, it's Homeland.
Yeah, I think it's the first episode, I think, of season 6. You'll see it.
Yeah, there you go. For everyone watching, first episode of season 6.
It's like the first 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Occupational therapy, Oren made me, he just said, hey, I'm going to kick your ass tomorrow, man. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, just come on. So wear your prosthetic, come down in your wheelchair, make sure you have your prosthetic. So, and we played foosball. Now, what does that have to do with occupational therapy? Me moving to side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's fucking good. And I said, why you're good? Because you fucking do this all the time with people, you son of a bitch,
And you have 10 toes. You're not a 5-toed freak.
But, in reality, that's one of the things I have to learn how to do is move. Instead of the creativity from some of these guys.
Absolutely.
From physical therapy and occupational therapy, they just get creative instead of doing the same boring shit all the time. And, like I said, looking back, with Kyla, she wore the rubber squares on her hand, and I wore boxing gloves, and we just in the physical therapy area, we would just box, and she would be backing up, and I'd be going towards her, and then she would be walking towards me, and it's in reality, it's like, wow, this is us, me learning how to walk again, and I always thought that was so interesting and how creative they got.
Yeah.
But it just you don't really think about it until, like you said, when you reflect and look back, and like, damn, man, that was pretty cool.
So how long were you at Walter Reed until they said, you know what, you're good, you can go back to Carbondale, PA? Yeah, I remembered it. Yeah. Look at that.
I'm medically retired out of Walter Reed January of 2010. So I was there for about 18 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had to more and more surgeries, man. It wasn't right out of the blue. Mm-hmm. I didn't start walking, actually get a prosthetic for a long time because my other leg was still pretty bad. Mm-hmm. So I got a few more surgeries. Before I left Walter Reed, I had to get one more big surgery on my foot. And the options were, we're either going to fuse the ankle or we're going to amputate it below the knee. And I was like, both those options sound fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I would wake up every day and put my prosthetic on, and towards late morning, I'd be in so much pain.
Yeah.
So what's the military's cure? Here's some friggin'
Motrin and change your sock.
Well, it was very clever. I like that. No, it's just like, here's some pain meds. Here's some pain meds. Here's some pain meds. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I can't live the rest of my life like this every morning taking morphine. So that's when they gave me those two options, and I said, look, we need something else. So we talked to Dr. Shawan. He was the doc that worked on my foot, and then we did a subtalar fuse. Because I said, I want to run, but I also don't want to amputate the leg.
Yeah.
So he did a subtalar fusion, which basically I feel like saved my foot.
That's awesome.
And I don't have a lot of movement in my foot, but a lot more movement. Like if I fuse the ankle, I want to be able to run.
Right, yeah, you lose this.
Right. So this is what I lost. So this is my foot.
Yep.
This is what I lost.
Okay.
In and out like that. But I just run a lot slower. Which whatever, man.
Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah.
So
that's why, right? You were like,
I'm out of that. Like, sorry guys, I got a subtalar fusion. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
So you get done after 18 months. So let me back up a little bit. You found in Iraq, you said, you know what, I want to go full bore. I want to make this my career. Right. Go to Afghanistan. In your head, you are going to do everything you can to do what you can for the Army. You know, you re-enlisted, so you're 5-6 years in about this point, maybe 5 years. I don't know if you did a 4-year enlistment or something.
That's about 7 years in when I got hurt.
Okay, so now you're 7 years in. You're almost at the halfway point, right? You're like, cool, I'm making it. Now you wake up and you're looking down, going, well, I don't have a leg. Did you think I can get back? Was that even a thought, or did you go, I'm done?
I remember when they asked me if I wanted to stay in the Army because it was an option.
Really?
I would. Yeah, it seemed like a lot of. It seems when I was there anyway, there were some people who stayed active duty in situations like this. When they gave me the option, I was still in a hospital bed, and I said, "What the fuck am I going to do?" Now looking back, if I make such a quick decision, I think I would have stayed in.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't be infantry anymore, but I could. There's something else I could have done. Maybe I could go to be a medic, not field medic, but even when someone got a toothache, they come to me or whatever like that.
Here's some Motrin.
Yeah, exactly.
I have an extra sock for you.
Here's some fucking.
Here's 2 for your feet and 1 for take that home with you.
But I always thought to myself, I could find a purpose still wearing that uniform.
Yeah.
But I think I just made a quick decision. I'll just get out. And the time I got out, because when I was a patient on Walter Reed, I'm still on active duty. The time I got out was 9 years, and I'm thinking to myself, it's pretty much halfway there. I should have just stayed in. But I mean, I love what I do now, so it's like.
So, but you were okay with it. It wasn't
right.
It's interesting because it's funny. For as long as I know you, I assumed that it was that's it, man. Like with Bryce, right? He wanted to stay in, and they said, "No, bud, you're done." And it's like, so,
right?
For someone who wanted to make it a career, right, and they're not given that option, I feel like that would have weigh heavy on them mentally. Right. Emotionally, all those words. But at least you were able to go, you know what? I'm okay. I'm done. That's fine.
I think a lot of it turns
I've done my time.
I think a lot of it turns into whether, what your command says, or I think for situations where somebody's combat wounded, I know when I was in, I saw some guys around me, they stayed on active duty. They had to take an admin job or something like that. I don't know what it's like now in Bryce's situation. I mean, geez, man, he's a below the knee amputee.
Paper cut.
Exactly. I'm like, that guy's he's a rock star, man.
I doubt he's watching. I mean, if he is, Bryce, I mean, you're a wimp. For those of you who are wondering who Bryce is, he's a good friend of ours. He's also a trooper now down south. He was in the Army Guard down in Arkansas. Yep. Arkansas. They do have a guard down there. That's a state, apparently. He was involved in. He was hit by a drunk driver. And Bryce, for those who don't know him, he's this messed up in the head where he looks down, he sees that his leg is no longer there, and instead of calling 911, he calls his sergeant and says, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to make that funeral tomorrow." And so the sergeant starts yelling at him because he's his junior soldier and he's just assuming that there's some weird excuse about to come up. And he's like, "Yeah, I just got in an accident and I have no leg left." He's like, "Wait, what? Call 911." So they amputate his leg. I think he actually has a picture right before they cut like the whole leg off. He had the doc take a picture of the leg.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Or he may have like taken a selfie like in the ambulance or something. Because I mean, that's Bryce. Yeah. he went on to, it's a paper cut, so, he went on to be a police officer, and now he's a trooper, an amputee trooper. And,
well, that tells you what I think. Like, they took away his military career, but
he said, I'm not done.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's like, I don't know if it was a sense of doubt because he just lost his leg below the knee, but look, he went through a trooper academy, which I'm sure is not easy. You know what I mean? Well, it is Arkansas. I don't know. They herd cattle and shit.
I don't know. I don't know about the trooper academy. I heard about the PD. Yeah. Well,
anyway,
that's a whole different story. Yeah. Anyway, but that's Bryce, and we love him.
He's our teammate in an organization. We'll get into that later, though.
Wimp. So you come home, and now you're back home.
Right.
So
I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking at colleges. I got my associate's degree at this point. I want to get my undergrad. Believe it or not, there was a moment when, before I went to Afghanistan, I thought maybe some more public service, and I thought firefighting would be cool. Yeah, I know you're a cop, so,
Hey, some of us have to be second responders. It's fine.
Don't let him fool you. He's a fire buff. He's a fire buff. He's just in disguise.
Obviously I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what I wanted to do right away. But towards the end of 2010, I was dating somebody. She's a nurse, and every year the department she works for at Regional Hospital Scranton, they take the staff out for a black tie event. This is a week before Christmas in 2010. I'm getting ready for this event. I step out of the shower, I put my prosthetic on, and I put just my pants on from my suit and a t-shirt before I get fully dressed, because I'm doing my hair in the mirror, and all of a sudden my phone rings. I let it go to voicemail. I finish doing my hair. I wash the hair gel out. I go look at my phone. I see it's my mom. I listen to the voicemail. She's crying on the other end, and she says, "Call me immediately." I give her a buzz. She picks up the phone, and she says my name, so ever somber. "Mom, what's the matter?" Joe committed suicide. Worst fucking day of my life, man.
Got chills.
How can I get this second chance at life and have my own twin brother take his away?
Yeah.
Einstein, what happened after that, I hit the ground. I just scream. And the girl I was dating at the time, her name was Lori. She just starts bawling her eyes out. She heard it. My mom said it loud enough. She heard it too. I can't remember what else was said on that phone call. There was an "I love you," and "I love you too." I hung up the phone. I walked 6-7 steps into the kitchen. I opened up the fridge. Every single ounce of alcohol I had, I poured it right down the drain. I grew up an alcoholic, and I know in that moment, if I grabbed something at that time, my life was fucked.
Yeah.
Very next thing I did, I went right to my laptop. I deleted all my social media. I did not want to deal with this storm that was about to fall in my lap, but it's inevitable.
It's interesting in that moment, right? Your world just presumably came crashing down. Right? And I don't want to say if it was, it sounds like instinctively, right? You literally just saved your life. Your brother's life is gone, and you pour out alcohol, get rid of social media, because something in your head is saying those two things are going to cause whatever that's not worth whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Right? And just, literally, you're probably just on autopilot.
I'm going to say this right now, too, dude. We cannot control the things that happen to us in our lives sometimes. We cannot control the bad things that sometimes happen to us. But we can always control how we react to it.
Yeah.
We always have that control of ourselves, of what we're going to do. Now, we're going to talk in a little bit. Those bad decisions did come. Believe me.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, man. The next day, I had to go to Joe's house. There's his wife, his kids. His wife is Steph. Jonathan, Emily, Kayla is kids. Also, some of her family's there. Some of my family's there. Some of the kids we grew up with are there. Some of his CO buddies, which I never met, they're there. Some of the guys we served with are there. You can imagine, and just you guess what the emotion's like in this damn house, right? And it's just being there, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Fuck, I just can't be like this anymore. All right, okay. Today is now Sunday the 19th. All right, tomorrow is Monday. Is anybody gonna be at the Armory? Oh, there is? Okay. I look at my cousin Paul, who also joined the Guard, who was out at this point. My best friend growing up, Dave Rivera, who's still in the Guard, he was also there. I'm like, what are you guys doing tomorrow? You're free? Let's go to the Armory. We go to the Armory. There's my old readiness NCO, Sergeant First Class Peterson. He gives me a big hug, gives his condolences. And on the other end of the room, there's a desk. There's Joe's desk. I take a box. I put everything of his in the box. All right, now what? Okay, what do we do now? Sergeant Peterson. So is the Army going to pay for... Oh, they are? All right, let's start this paperwork right now, dude. Yep. Start filling that out. Paul, I want you to go talk to Supply. It's going to be an open casket. I need Joe's awards up to par in his uniform. I want him buried right, okay? Boom, got that knocked out. All right, you... I want you to go with Steffi. You're going to go to Paris Funeral Home in Carbondale, Pennsylvania. You're going to work there on the funeral details. I need you to go with me. Joe is Catholic. I need you to go with me. We're going to go talk to the priest at St. Rose Church of Lima in Carbondale. And I just started delegating all these tasks. And just...
It sounds like the leader that Joe was, that not that you weren't, but the leader in Joe kind of came into you.
That's, I
just started doing it.
I'm seeing how everybody else is. I'm going to take care of this, guys. And I just started delegating. And just, all that shit that had to get done. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. Boom. And it's funny. It's the people around me who were also felt this pain of what the decision that Joe made. I we're going to get through this, guys. We're going to do this. Let's move forward. Boom. I just need your help in this. Do this. Do that. Come to me if you have any questions. The day came at Joe's funeral. I got my dress blues. I walked up to that casket. I give him the final salute. That's that. Now what? You ever hear that saying, idle hands is the devil?
Oh, yep. Oh yeah.
Self-destruction started pretty early after that.
So after his funeral, you went from handling things presumably pretty well to nosediving.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a quick break. After the break, we're going to hear about this nosedive and how you came back from it.
Sure.
All right. We'll be back in a few minutes.
If we were to tell you there's a doctor who truly cares about the men and women of law enforcement and offers flexible hours to suit your busy schedule, would you believe us? Dr. Alex and the staff at Tri-State Health and Wellness have been serving the men and women of law enforcement for more than 10 years. Whether it's physical therapy, family medicine, pain management, or general health and wellness, Dr. Alex is the doctor to see. Find out more and visit BlueTristate.com. That's www.BlueTristate.com. MortgagesForBlue.com from Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. Michelle Hendershot and the team at Homebridge Financial can assist you every step of the way. With over a decade of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today at MortgagesForBlue.com. As a first responder, you can't take care of others until you take care of you first. That's why a simple cardiac stress test can give you peace of mind so you can perform your day-to-day duties without any worries. Remember, good cardiac health includes scheduling a simple stress test, and doing so is simple. Visit www.bluestresstest.com. Do it for you and all who depend on you. VisitBlue.com is an online law enforcement-friendly business directory. At VisitBlue.com, you'll find a wide array of business professionals that support the men and women of law enforcement. If you're looking for a healthcare professional, a real estate agent, home improvement contractor, and even the best restaurants, then it's time to check out VisitBlue.com. Visit www.visitblue.com now. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group. Located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey, Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a non-profit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. TheBlueApparel.com. Be blue. Be proud. Buy blue. The official law enforcement apparel source for the men and women in blue. It's not just apparel. It's our way of life. Visit www.theblueapparel.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. And now, back to the program on the Blue Broadcast Network.com.
All right, and we are back once again. We were just talking about how you gave the final salute to your brother.
Right.
You were kind of, I would say, even keel. I don't want to say going up, right? You were even keel. You took charge. You made things happen. And then your world kind of turned upside down, and you took a nosedive.
Right.
So,
well,
what happened?
I feel like my mindset, Einstein, it went right back. You know, when I first joined the military, I made it all about me. What can the military do for me? It made it about me, right? And then Iraq, my mindset, this shit ain't about me. It's about us. My mindset went, once again, right back to making everything about me. Thank you. Feeling sorry for myself. Playing a victim. Thinking the fucking world owes me everything. Dysfunctional veteran. You know, such a shitty attitude. Let me ask you, dude, where does playing a victim get you in life?
Nowhere.
Absolutely.
Well, it makes you feel like you're trying to get somewhere, but it puts you down.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just self-destruction. You know, and that, like I said, dysfunctional veteran. You know what I did for my country? You know what I've been through?
Yeah, you put yourself on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, no, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Right? You know what? Yeah, okay. You know, and anybody out there who once served, you know, or is serving, look, I got to tell you guys something, and we're going to get a little bit into this later, but I just want to say it right now because we're on this topic.
Yeah.
Look, nobody cares about our service. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, let me rephrase that. Nobody owes us anything.
Well, so you and I, right?
Right.
We served. We got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You and I also didn't do anything valorous.
It's not like I jumped on a grenade.
Yeah, we were wrong place, wrong time.
We suck at war.
Yeah. I zigged when I should have zagged. You know, we did what hundreds of thousands of men and women have done before us and will do after us. And, you know, however many will also get hurt just like us.
Right.
We didn't jump on the grenade. We didn't, we're not Dakota Meyer. We're not
Leroy Petrie.
Yeah, we're not any of those who won the Medal of Honor, right?
Correct.
Those guys, who I'm sure you talk to them, they probably also dealt with some stuff mentally like this. But I would argue, you know, you can put yourself on a little pedestal there, man. You did some stuff, right? Like, you literally have that medal that says you did some stuff, right? But we didn't. But yet we acted like we did.
Very good way to put it. Absolutely. It's like look at me, I'm hot shit.
I bled for my country. If you didn't, well, then screw you.
I'm gonna do Tarantino this for a second. Fast forward to myself and Rick Kohlberg. We're at a Mexican restaurant outside of what's the army base in Kansas? I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, we were I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, we were at this army base outside. There's Manhattan, Kansas. We're at a Mexican restaurant, and Rick and I were at a bar. Sitting at the bar, and some dude walks in and immediately says, looks like a bro vet. And he walks in, and you know how bars an L shaped. Here's a long part, here's a small part. Rick and I are right here at the small part, and the entrance is right here, and he walks in, and within a matter of 5 minutes, that whole place knows that this guy once served his country, and he was in Iraq, and he just and it's just like, look at me, 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 and we're just watching him like, Rick, look at this fucking guy, you know. And at this point, like, this is much years later after Joe died, and he looks over at us and he says, "You guys look like vets. I want to buy you guys a beer." I'm like, "Yeah, man, come on over," you know. And you know, Rick's first response, vet, like I'm a veterinarian, like fucking wise ass, like. But he comes over and then he sees that I'm missing a leg, and he's like, "Oh, holy shit!" I'm like, dude, relax, man, relax. Yes, I lost my leg. Yeah, you know, like, well, we get to know each other. I want to buy you like 19,000 shots, and then we're gonna sing "Red, White, and Blue." You know, but it came down. I could tell by this guy's bro vet beard that he hasn't been in the military for such a long time, and he's talking. And you know, first he says, "What are you guys doing here?" And I'm like, "Oh, we were actually there because Rick knew some people at what the hell's the military base, but whatever it is at Fort Riley. That's what it is. Fort Riley, no one in the comments figured it out yet. Fort Riley, Kansas. Yeah." And we stopped there because Rick, who is still active duty as a patient at Walter Reed, you know, we were driving back from Bataan Death March that year. And anyway, but this guy says, who are you guys? Oh, we're here at Fort Riley. We know some people. Where we work for a charity called Operation Enduring Warrior. And, you know, here's who we are. Here's what we do. And the big question comes that we said to him, man, I wish I fucking got his name. I gave him my business card, but I said, so what are you doing now? Well, I think I'm maybe gonna go to college soon or this and that. But basically, it was a run around saying he's not doing jack shit. Yeah. And so you walk into bars and remind everybody that you once did something. You gotta remember, man. 15 years ago, I did something for 2 weeks, and here I am. So thank me. Classic Uncle Rico syndrome. You guys see Napoleon Dynamite? You know who Uncle Rico is? Back to my story. Yeah, I turned into Uncle Rico. Looking at this guy, like years later, that's exactly who the fuck I was. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it's just like the dysfunctional veteran guy with a dysfunctional veteran T-shirt, reminding everybody what I went through and what I did, making everything all about me. Yeah, and I was fucking miserable. The Earl Granville show, and not the good one that we have now. Yeah, right. Yeah. But it was just self-destruction, man. It was just, How long did that go on for? 2011 was a blur. All right. Yeah, hurt a lot of people. Not happy about it. So, what changed? Let's not what changed. What was the point where you said, you know what? Screw this. I have to get better. And like, was there a definitive moment that like was there a low point? Were you in a corner? Can you pinpoint a specific time, or did you just wake up one day and say, you know what, what changed? What changed was there was a moment where my okay, so when I went to Vail, Colorado to learn how to snowboard, I went there with the Vail Veterans Program when I was still a patient on Walter Reed. I learned how to snowboard again. Mm-hmm. When I learned how to snowboard, I actually made the cover of the Vail Daily, or the front page of the Vail Daily.
Oh, I'm gonna have to figure that one out. And, I want your signature or autograph.
Oh, you can Google and see it.
I want your autograph.
But so you know those machines where you put the quarter in and you take the paper out?
Yeah.
I took every fucking paper out because I'm on that front page, right?
Did you only pay $1?
Or however much it was. I can't
But
remember.
you took all of them.
Oh yeah. I'm like,
So if the government's watching, I don't know what statute of limitations is, but feel free. Earl Granville, Carbondale, Pennsylvania.
anyway, all the I recycle
You're
them,
surrounded
right?
by cops.
So I took him home with me, and I gave him look at me on the front page, man. You know, so Joe, I learned from some of his CO buddies when he was a prison guard that he was proud of the things I was doing because, oh man, I saw that paper that Joe was showing us, this and that. And I'm like, you fucking saw that? One thing Joe and I didn't do, we never complimented each other. So, like, hearing this shit and hearing it from his wife, Steffi, like, man, Joe was just so proud of you and, like, the things I was doing after I got hurt.
Yeah.
You know, I'm playing sports, not really letting this shit define who I am. Mm-hmm. That, to answer your question, that was kind of a defining moment. Mm-hmm. I think I'm like hearing that shit. I'm like
hearing the after the fact that
the pride Joe had in me.
He was complimenting you without doing it to your face.
Right. You know what I mean? He just had pride in things I was doing, and I'm like, fuck, man.
So
why am I acting like a shithead then?
So for Joe, you got better.
Yeah, I mean I think that was a big thing. Yeah. So instead of making it about me, like I said before, I made it about him. Then I started to just physically. I got involved in CrossFit. I got a running blade, and I started doing like little 5K, some small shit, nothing crazy. And I was like, I can't fucking live my life this way anymore. And that initially led me to Einstein to get involved in Spartan races. Hey, look at that. There it is.
Is that you?
That is me. Yeah, that's it right there.
So my buddy Jay Galeazzi, he's watching right now, who was partners with Mike McClawson, who the episode's dedicated to, who committed suicide.
Really?
He was partners with him in Camden City. Okay. He's big on the suicide prevention, all this and whatnot. He just sent me this picture. So
it's not even that good. I'm on the bunny slope right there.
I don't know if he had this in his insert word bank. Jay, it's 2021, so we won't judge. But yeah, that's
appreciated. Dude.
Yeah. So, yeah. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, that was on like I said, that's a photo right there. It's not even a cool photo, but it was like, I guess it got people's attention, whatever. But anyway, that turned my life around. Like I said, I started being more active. I started running, got involved in CrossFit, and I started doing OCRs. And this led me in 20...
For those who don't know what OCRs are, they're obstacle course races.
Spartan race, Tough Mudder, Warrior Dash.
All they have, they're a dime a dozen now. Bone Frog, all
Battle Frog, yeah,
all the top dozen. But
so my first ever Spartan race, my friend Amanda Sullivan asked me, "Hey, you want to do a Spartan race?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I've done Tough Mudders before, and that one's only 8. This one we're doing is only 8 miles. I've done 13-mile Tough Mudders before, right?"
This is at Blue Mountain, right?
No, not Blue Mountain. This one's Wintergreen.
Wintergreen, that's what it was. Yeah. Only 8 miles on Wintergreen.
Yeah, 8 miles on Wintergreen. Not realizing what the fuck Wintergreen was. So Friday evening we get there and we're going up a hill, driving at the time, up a hill, and you kind of see some of the obstacles, and it's literally.
So tell for everyone watching, where's Wintergreen?
Wintergreen is in Virginia. It's a ski resort.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, there are ski resorts in Virginia, and those mountains are no joke.
Yeah,
no joke.
I was I was a little surprised that evening before the race because I'm thinking to myself, "Fuck, this is what we're doing here."
He filled in the blank.
What's that?
That's Jay Galeazzi.
What's it say?
Spank Bank. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Jay.
So anyway, it was. I was like, man, I maybe kind of went in this a little too cocky, thinking of what we were going to get in the next day. So when the next day does roll around, going to pick up my bib packet, and there's these men and women in multicam uniforms.
And what year is this?
This is 2013. This is August of 2013.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to myself, now, who are these guys here? And one of them comes up to me with his hand out, and he says, hey, are you Earl? And I look up at him, and his hand is out. Hey, my name's Noah Galloway. Nice to meet you. And I'm like, fucking Noah Galloway? And so anybody out there,
little fanboy there.
Oh, big time!
Like, oh my god, wait.
Like I know who Noah is.
He knows who I am. Oh my god.
So anyway, Noah Galloway was with the 101st Airborne. He lost his left arm and left leg from a roadside bomb in Iraq before I lost my leg, and I've watched Noah from afar on social media, and some of the things Noah's accomplished were just amazing. And Noah was on the cover of Men's Health magazine and also on Dancing with the Stars with one arm and one leg. Like, I know who the fuck this guy is. You know what I mean? Like, and I just think that, like, his leg injury is identical to mine. He's a knee disc attack through the knee. And
not a paper cut.
Yeah, not a paper. It's above knee.
Yeah.
You don't have a knee, you're not a paper cut. That's why I always.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm just like, I know who this guy is, and I'm like, oh, dude, nice to meet you, man. I think you're awesome, man. Like, at the time, those early stages of my injury, I'm like, he was a huge inspiration of mine. Just seeing what he's accomplished, and also the way he carries himself. Mm-hmm. He's not like, look at me, I'm a rock star. It's just that humility he carries, man. Family man. I'm like, this is a guy I inspired to be like. So he's like, yeah, we're here with Operation Enduring Warrior, and OEW's mission is to honor, empower, and motivate wounded and disabled veterans to continue to stay active after their injuries, not let their injuries define who they are. And the unwritten rule in OEW, I feel like the part of their mission, which we don't discuss, which is self-explanatory, but until you get a taste of it, you're once again part of something bigger than yourself, just like when you wore that uniform.
Is this him telling you this?
No, this is...
Or that's what you got from it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that's how I felt about it. He said, do you want to run with us? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to do it. I'd be honored, man. Yeah. So I met the rest of the team. Before we went to the starting line, went to the secluded area, and everybody in the organization who had multicam and a little assault pack, they pulled out, said a few words, and they pulled out a gas mask. And they donned their gas mask, and I'm like, these are fucking intense, man. Like,
now you're getting intrigued. You're like, oh boy,
these guys are rock stars. You know what I mean? Ran that course, and it beat the shit out of me, but we finished, and I was very humbled after that.
That it wasn't Wintergreen. I'm thinking I might be getting confused. That wasn't the one that they almost had to evac. Oh man, the whole reason we have the Todd Carey now. Remember, that might have been up at Blue Mountain.
Probably, Blue Mountain, Wintergreen, and Vermont.
They're all awesome courses.
Those are the three, the Devil's trifecta.
Yeah.
We don't need, Spartan doesn't even do Wintergreen anymore. I think I don't know if it came a liability or something. Like, it was bad. Like,
how long were you on the course that day? Do you remember?
Well, it was an 8-mile course, and it was over 8 hours, so it was under 1 mile an hour. I was doing that course, probably 9.5, 10 hours.
Wow.
It was bad. Like, it was
and these guys that you just met were in these gas masks for... Did they take them off at any time?
Nope, they kept that on the whole time. Pretty intense.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we finished. We, showered up, hung out with those guys at their Airbnb, and Noah says, what do you think about joining us? And I was like, man, I don't think I'm ready for something like this. Now, however, I thought about it for a little while. Like, I didn't give it an answer that day. But I thought, this dude who I respect and admire quite a bit just asked me to join his team. It's like I followed the Chicago Bulls my whole life, and I'm playing a pickup game, and there's Michael Jordan. He said, hey, you want to play with us? You don't fucking turn that down.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to let this opportunity slip. So I got a hold of the organization. I was like, hey, man, I would love to try out for your team. Didn't realize what was ahead to join that organization.
They don't just give you that mask, do they?
No, they don't.
I don't know.
You have to go through hell. So I have to add, in Operation Enduring Warrior, each person that's wearing a gas mask is current or former U.S. military. And now, just recently, about 2 years ago, we opened the doors for law enforcement just because the hardship and the university that our culture, our law enforcement's culture is facing nowadays. We'll get into that later, though.
Yeah.
But I have to add that.
And we just opened up firemen.
Yes. Yes, we did.
Just 2-3 months ago?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yep. So firefighters as well.
Yeah.
You're now allowed, come on out, check us out. But anyway, when I asked to join, we had to go through a few phases. And the final phase was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. It was January of 2014 was when my class went through. And let's just say it's a long friggin' weekend, and all the other masked athletes are there as cadre, putting us through multiple evolutions, see how our physical capabilities are, our teamwork capabilities are, and also our attitude, and to be a team member for this organization. And it's very military style and structured. Something I miss very much. I was, my class, 5 of us passed. 5 of us finished out of, I think we started with 8 or 10. I think it was 10, but only 8 showed up. And I don't know, earning a spot on that team that day in January 2014, it was kind of like that Iraq deployment. What the fuck am I doing? This isn't about me. It's about us.
You're part of the team again.
Right, part of a team. I have a mission. I'm also a mentor to other wounded and disabled veterans that want to reach their physical goals now that they're injured to find who they are. And it just kind of opened my mind. That weekend at Fort Bragg turned my life. I didn't realize how much I needed that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There was no pity, like, oh, you have one leg, so you gotta, no.
No, they don't care.
No, exactly. Get up that fucking hill. All right, I'll get up that hill. Like, that was it.
You don't, get up the hill, princess.
Shit.
So with Indoc, for those of you, both Earl and I are teammates. We're both MAT members, and we each went through different classes. Earl was a cadre of mine when I went through, and like you said, the greatest thing about the mask is that it doesn't matter who shows up. You could be quadruple amputee, and you are expected to perform as if you are fully able-bodied. Obviously, if you're doing a litter carry and you don't have arms, you can't carry a litter carry. You can't carry the litter. So they will modify some stuff, but they will not make anything easier.
Right.
And every single person earns that mask. And the greatest thing about OEW is that just because you finish Indoc doesn't mean you're getting a mask.
Right.
It's you also have they don't want people that want a mask. They want people there that can be in a mask, but they want the right people there because the whole purpose, like you said, is to honor, empower, and motivate our nation's then wounded and injured veterans, now wounded and injured police officers and firefighters.
Correct.
And it's happened before. It is not a guarantee. I mean, right. And I remember the first time I went through, I medically disqualified, and that crushed me. Came back the second time, and finishing when they said all clear, I broke down. I started crying. I said I did it. I wanted that. I wanted that mask. Like, that was my goal. But I finished, and to me, I accomplished my goal of finishing Indoc.
Right.
When I got the mask, that was a whole nother set of emotions, right? But it is, and it's funny for those of you who are listening, Indoc there's a secrecy to it. I'm sure some people, some of the old heads might watch and say, "Oh, we've said a little too much already."
Oh yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Walt. But it is what it is, and the purpose of that is because it adds a mystique to it, right? And you never know what you're gonna get, and it's kind of like, I guess, going through any type of SF Indoc or anything like that. I mean,
well-round trained.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it is absolutely amazing. The guys, because the whole purpose of, I was explaining to some of the guys earlier, when you put that mask on, you don't take the mask off for anything. No matter what, you literally you die in that mask. If you die, you die. That's it. And when when we do these events with our honorees, we try to, like Earl and I, we will typically get paired up with the more severely disabled. Earl is slower because he says of his leg. I just say it because I'm fat. But because of that, we are more inclined to deal with the more severely disabled. We do the technical stuff, and we know how to get you over these obstacles safely. Mm-hmm. Whereas we do have some of the MAT members that are absolute horses and just run for miles on end, no matter what. So they go with the more able-bodied. But if you do a race and you happen to get paired up with someone who is a gazelle, if that honoree wants to go at a certain pace, the mission is you do not hold them back.
Right.
And I remember at Warx in Ohio, when we took my partner Prince through, the guys on our squad were busting my balls because I was explaining this to them. They're looking at me. They're like, "You're fat." I'm like, "Yeah." They go, "He's not." I said, "I know. I will die in that mask keeping up with him if I have to." Mm. And that's why Indoc is the way it is.
Right.
And that's what makes it so awesome when you put that mask on and whatnot.
That I don't know, man. It's this organization. I was an honoree at some point, and so were you.
Yeah. And
it was so great running alongside the Mass Athlete team. They helped me through a Spartan Beast in South Carolina in 2013, and also Winter Green as well. But the big event, it was Indoc that turned my life around. That really did, because it just like going through that hell. It's like everything I physically and mentally, after not even losing my leg, but losing my brother, I feel like it was OEW that kind of turned my life around. Yeah. It really did. I mean, credit's given where credit's due.
Well, I mean, like I said, going all the way back, right? You start your career in the Army with wanting to. It's all about you. You wanted college.
Right.
You wanted to get something out of it.
Correct.
Then, right off the rip, it turned into, we're going to war. Then you went to war. You found out, hey, this is something I'm good at. I like it. I'm going full bore. Mm-hmm. You go to war again, and your career comes to a grinding halt. All of a sudden, you're faced with, well, who am I, and what am I doing with my life? You're faced with your brother's death and all this stuff, and now you're kind of given this military career again, if you will. It's not military service, but it is service, and it's run like I can't even say it's paramilitary. I mean, it is a full-time job.
I never thought I'd be filling out or making operas again.
Yeah. And now, hey, that was the last 10 years of your career. You finished your career.
I mean, you want to put it that way, yeah.
It didn't say U.S. Army anymore. It said, enduring.
A sense of purpose.
You found your sense of purpose.
I built my leadership back up, and really, it's not just my leadership, but confidence as well. All those situations that
There's the team. Yeah.
Einstein, I can't tell you enough what this organization has done for me. I mean, my confidence, my leadership, stepping out of my comfort zone, everything is because of OEW. And it was that weekend in Indoc, I feel like was a big start of my life, like it was the start of it. And I accidentally became a public speaker, talking about my ideas of battling adversity just from my life experience, losing my brother, losing my leg, losing my career in the Army. And that it kind of brings us up now, and I think is a good, turning point of what I discuss now. And just I guess my mindset of kind of how I live my life now. And it's just, I think as human beings, Einstein, military, law enforcement, whatever the heck it is, we all need 3 P's in our lives. You must have a purpose. You have to have a passion. And you have to be part of something bigger than yourself. Okay? Purpose, passion, part of something. When I was in the military, my purpose, I was a soldier. My passion, the arrogance of an infantryman. Part of something bigger than yourself. It's explained right there. Now, my purpose, I'm a public speaker. My passion is physical fitness and traveling. Part of something bigger than myself, that's OEW. Yeah. That's the Oscar Mike Foundation. That's Warrior Strong. These organizations mean a lot to me because it fills my life. Giving my leadership, giving, just being a mentor for other people. It's important to me that I lost those 3 P's and I fulfilled them again in this way of life I live now. Now the recipe to find those 3 P's, ladies and gentlemen, attitude. Look, I don't make friends saying this, but I don't give a shit. That dysfunctional veteran attitude isn't going to get you anywhere in life.
It literally gets you nowhere.
No, it doesn't.
It makes you feel. I think it makes you feel good. What's it in Tommy Boy? It's the guarantee on the box. It makes them feel good. It's all it is. It just makes them feel good, but it does nothing.
Right. You have to take that leap, and that leap is number 2 of the recipe, and that's comfort zone. You got to step out of it. Because if you stay stagnant, you're never going to fucking find what you're looking for, man, in life. Because you can't live the rest of your life unfulfilled just saying, let's just say 50 years from now, you're on your deathbed. It's like, so what'd you do with your life? Oh, I was in Iraq, man. I was a Marine. I was a soldier, whatever it may be. All right, that's cool. That was 60 years ago, guys?
Yeah. What else did you
do?
Tell me about your life.
Exactly.
Your life was 80 years long.
Right.
That was 5 years?
Exactly. Get rid of that Uncle Rico syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay? So you got to take a leap out of that comfort zone. Number 3 of that recipes that we need to find is community. And I find that people like you, the charities we work for, OEW especially.
Yeah.
And I realized it's all of us going through this together. The power of what a community can do. I'm not going to talk about my political career, but I always think to myself, it takes...
We'll dabble into a little bit about that in a little bit. I'm going to hit on that in a little bit, but, yeah.
But I found out, we see these big-time politicians that are writing these, making laws or whatever it may be and trying to run the country. But when we say we the people... It's more about the citizens in the United States of America that I truly feel like are making the difference in this nation. And that's where I find in these charities I work for, because it's everyday people like me and you making a difference to the people around us. Yeah. Look at our OCAs and our community ambassadors in OEW. So, in OEW, I'll brief, just 30 seconds and I'll talk more about it. We have community ambassadors, so anybody can volunteer for this organization, but our mass athletes are military, law enforcement, and firefighters. But our community ambassadors, I feel like, are the backbone of our organization, and they put in such hard work, keeping us moving and supporting our mission in honor, empower, motivate our wounded and disabled veterans. But I feel like what we have built of not just making a difference in people's lives, but also they're just it's everyday people like you and me making those difference, bettering our community. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We the people. That's what I say when I hear the term "we the people." That's what I think.
It's interesting. The everyday people. The coolest thing being on the course too. Obviously, being a mass athlete, we're there for the honorees. Right. And but I gotta say, there's a little bit of selfishness in being a mass athlete. Right. And the way I say that is because I get to hide behind the mask. When I'm in that mask, no one knows me. You know who I am, and I know who you are. But for those who don't know, when we put the mask on, we take off. We do so in private, and we lose our actual names. We each go by a call sign that we pick. And if we're on the course in public with our mask on, and you come up to us and you say, "Hey, what's your name?" we will say our call sign. Right. Because it's not about us. The whole purpose of having the mask is for a couple of reasons. One, first and foremost, it hides our identity. It puts the focus on that honoree. That's why we also go by the call sign. It's not about us. Second, it with the mask, it reduces our airflow by 10, 20%. Being in a mask is not fun, especially for, I think the longest in Dallas 2 years ago, I think we were in it for 18 hours. That is not fun. But it reminds us of what the honorees are going through.
Exactly.
Sure, it sucks not being able to breathe as much, but when we had, what's his name, the Navy SEAL?
The older gentleman?
Justin Legg, who I think on a good day, his lungs, he breathes at 40% capacity and he does this course, right? We can look at him and go, it's not that bad for us.
Right. Yeah, we're wearing a mask, but we're still breathing better than him.
And it brings us back. Or, even when I look to you, I'm struggling. I look to you, I said, it's not that bad because I have my legs, right? But behind the mask, we hear it all the time. People go, thank you for what you're doing. You guys are amazing. I said, it's not us. Look at what he's doing or she's doing. And those people see, and Spartan, with Joe DeSena, he's a big proponent of this, getting people off the couch, right? I think we've had, and we'll never know this, but I'd like to think that just by people doing these races, they say, there's that Spartan, let's try that day. And they may walk the whole course, but then they see us on the course with an honoree and they go, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm going to do something more the next day because of what I saw today. Yep. And again, we may never know how many people we've impacted, but I have to imagine we've had a profound impact. And that's just amazing, it's just awesome.
Right. And it all comes down to exactly the whole mindset that I discussed earlier. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us.
Together. One team.
Yep. It's we the people, man. That's what I see in we the people, man.
I think we've forgotten about that. The nation's gotten away from that.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's a shame.
It's now, here's my people and there's your people, and the divide that we have right now. Mm-hmm. And it's look, man, I faced it. We look at people beyond them as a person, and it's more about who they voted for, what's the little letter next to their name, and is it D, is it R, it's just, and you know what those D and R stand for, guys. I don't have to fucking tell you, because it's all embedded in our heads right now, and man, I gotta tell you, I'm a Republican, but a lot of my friends are Democrats, and we get along fine. As a nation and who we are as America, it sounds so rednecky, but who we are is those different ideas. Yep. I wish we could just get back to a mindset of, I can't even say agree to disagree, of just respecting one another. I would rather just that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't even imagine your culture.
Yeah.
Being law enforcement right now, man, it just it sucks. It's like the new Vietnam veteran. And I know that might be a bold statement to say, but look, dude, I got to tell you, there's a few bad apples in Vietnam. Should we have been there? I don't know, but people went there because they were told to fucking go there. And they weren't even in the military because there was a draft at the time, right?
You have to go.
Yeah, they were told to fucking...
Or go to prison. That's it.
Yeah, you were told to go there. And then, all right, I guess I'll go to Vietnam. And then you come home. You did your tour honorably. You didn't, do anything bad over there. And then you get treated like shit by citizens because you were just over there. Mm-hmm. You had no fucking choice to be there. Now... It's how simple-minded people can be. We fast forward to now, okay? Mm-hmm. People take a career in law enforcement. I don't give a shit who you are. It's fucking needed. Yeah. We need it over there, all right? We need law enforcement. We need law and order. There's a few bad apples, okay? In any organization, there's bad dishwashers out there. There's bad clerks that work at grocery stores. There's bad people everywhere you go. The problem is, though, man, when we look at a culture and we try to pin just those few bad apples and label it all as a whole, how simple fucking minded can we be? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Yeah. And this is I don't mean to go off topic, but Look, I never worked in law enforcement, and I never want to because of what you guys go through. It is bullshit. That's just the way I see it anyway. Because looking at Jeremy Charlo. Yeah. All right? Guy who, looking at Anthony Stokes. Yeah. These guys, these names that I'm mentioning here, minus you, but their situations, they were just every day, they were cops in their respected area. Not even an incident happened. They were just in uniform, and they just got assaulted because they were cops, and their lives are completely...
Stokes wasn't even in uniform, right? I think he was just at the grocery store. or he may have been in uniform, but at the grocery store,
Right, yeah,
got
yeah.
attacked out of nowhere, ambushed.
Yep.
Because of his uniform.
Yeah, Stokes' story, his wife asked him, hey, on your way home, can you stop at Publix grocery store in Florida? And I live in Florida, so Publix are everywhere. Can you stop at Publix and pick up, here's the list. And the next thing that happened, his wife saw on their community Facebook page, a cop was just shot in a Publix parking lot. And so, her heart drops.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, it was Stokes.
Yeah.
And what the fuck did he do? You know what I mean?
He was going to pick up bread.
Fuck the police.
Yeah.
Are you serious? This is where we're at now in society, and it's so that's why.
Hey, my alleged producer, who's very into this topic,
You're baiting me in. I've been trying.
he likes to be good. He's going to say something. He loves this topic.
Okay, all right.
No. This is his.
What I say all the time is that you're talking about you're being bad people. Of course, I mean that's human. Sheriff Clark always says when you're talking about police officers, as long as you're talking about humans, you will always be dealing with the human condition. You're not going to have perfection. You'll never have perfection, and you're 100% right. No matter what profession you're in, there are bad people in those professions. What drives me crazy about the narrative now, we all sit here as grown adults. Can I say for sure, 100%, that there's not a police officer waking up today, putting on a uniform with the sole intention of going to work and killing somebody? No, of course not. I can't say that for 100%. But pretty reasonably, we can assume that's really not happening in the United States of America. Cops aren't showing up to work saying, yeah, you know what, I can't wait to kill somebody.
Yeah.
We can speculate one way or the other, but that's just that. It's speculation. What we do know for a fact is that there are police officers in double-digit numbers that are ambushed and killed every year, specifically because there are police officers. Right now, there is somebody in their house plotting to get up tomorrow, and I'm going to kill somebody in uniform. Doesn't make a difference who they are, doesn't make a difference where they work. I'm going to kill somebody specifically because of the uniform that they wear. That's real. We know that. We know that for a fact.
Well,
we don't know the other. The other, again, is speculation. It's emotion. We can debate now. No, we know this. You use the example, Lou and Ramos. I mean, that guy came all the way from Baltimore, was talking about it on the way up, and was putting it on Instagram after. That guy came to New York with the sole purpose of killing 2 police officers, because he, at that time, I think it was reaction to Mike Brown, I think, right? I think
2014?
We take 2 of theirs, something like that. That was his tweet or his Instagram thing on the way up. And that's what drives me most crazy about all these narratives and everything that are out there.
Right.
We have something concrete. We can talk about this because we know this for a fact. People are leaving their house to come and kill police officers and attack police officers simply because they're in uniform. We know that, but that's not the narrative. We would rather focus as a country on our emotion and speculate. And that's horrible. I mean, we're so lost right now. I'm not trying to.
It's interesting. So the way I tied this whole thing into how it relates to the podcast, right, and what we're doing, mental health and all this stuff. So when Vietnam veterans came back, they were spit on getting off planes, right? Some of them were literally forced. Hey, go over to Vietnam or go to prison. And they're like, okay. And then over there, they did amazing things, extremely valorous acts in conditions that you and I can't even fathom.
Oh, absolutely.
And they came back, and I'm sure they had the Uncle Ricos. I'm sure they were there.
Yeah.
But I would say, by and large, they were mostly I just want to get back to my life. And they come back, they're proud, but they get spit on. So now they're dealing with all the stuff they saw over there and getting spit on by the public. And back then, there was no mental health. That was not a thing. You even said, hey, I want to talk about something. Well, your entire life's over. You're going to the crazy house. You're getting put in a straitjacket, going to a padded room, right? So now we're in 2021, and as cops being the Vietnam veterans, right, and I can't even say we're not being spit on, which is a shame to say because there are cops being spit on, but that and when it's that mental health thing, when you wake up and you put the uniform on, you go and that not every town, city, state, but the places that are still seeing daily, nightly protests and unrests for all these narratives, these officers that still show up to work and stand the line to do what they swore to do, and they're literally being treated, screamed at nightly the way they are. It's got to affect their mental well-being in ways that we won't see, unfortunately, per months, years. We may never even see.
You're seeing it now. If you don't, that depression, because that's really what it is. I mean,
absolutely.
Every police officer, and listen, I accept the fact that not everybody thinks about law enforcement the way I think about it. For some people, it really is just a job. It's just getting up and knowing what they're wearing to work every day. And I accept that. Yeah. That's fine. But I do also accept the fact that there are a lot of people that do feel about law enforcement the way I feel about law enforcement. And for the people that are in that group, it is a very depressing time. There's no safe space now. There's no safe ground anywhere you go. Mm-hmm. The latest example, is a shooting in Ohio. I mean, he shows up to a scene where someone is literally about to get stabbed. If he shoots, he's demonized. If he doesn't shoot in that scenario, you already know the narrative would have been he didn't shoot because it was only a black girl that was getting killed, and had it been a white girl that was getting killed, he would have shot. You know that would have been the narrative. So he did, just like you said, exactly what he was trained to do. He did it properly. I don't care where you work in anywhere, U.S., you are entitled to take a life to save a life. I don't care where you work. And they put that guy on an island.
Now that same guy, right? Let's take every type of narrative out of it. Well, let's go back 30 years before any type of thing, right? Same scenario. The cop is living with the fact that he took a life. That's going to affect his mental health because, fighting is tough. Pulling a trigger, it affects your brain. It's something you're not bred to do. We're not a warrior culture where, there are cultures still in the world today that go out, hunt, and kill to survive. We are not that culture. We are not trained to kill to survive. And to have to take a life it's a very heavy thing.
It's I'm not going to say it's the ingrate in this country, but there really is a lot of that. I'm not going to get off on a millennial kick because we'll really be here all night. But there is a lot of ungratefulness tied to that. You talk about the Vietnam vets getting spit on. There's a lot, and military. Every time I get into this argument, whether it's with family or friends or whatever, I always end up going towards the military because sometimes you got to shock them, and you got something like you grab them and say, "Listen, you understand that right now there are U.S. soldiers somewhere overseas killing people. You understand that is happening on behalf of the freedoms you have." Because sometimes, it's out of sight, out of mind. They don't understand the work that it has to happen to preserve what we have. They don't understand it. It's just something they take for granted. They don't think about it. They're not aware of it. They don't. I hate to say they don't care about it, but I just don't think. I think it's just a lack of awareness. They don't know. And while it was meant as something different, I always tie it back to the scene from A Few Good Men with Jessup's speech. There's a lot of truth to that. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of truth to what he said. You don't know what I have to do in order to preserve these freedoms. And I'm okay with that. But don't come to me and when you have no idea about what I have to do or how I have to do it, don't come to me, sit on some throne and question me now. No. Come do what I'm doing. Then you have a right. Then you have a say. Do the things that I'm doing. I'm not talking about ride-alongs while you sit in the car, with essentially battle gear on. I mean, they're full riot gear. while I go and do police work.
Yeah.
No, be out on your own. Walk up to a guy that you've been sent to arrest. Say, hey, store owner's calling about this guy. Do me a favor. Go down there and lock him up. He's selling loosies outside of the store again. Okay. You go down there. You look at a guy that's 3 times your size with a criminal record as long as you are tall. You say, man, listen, you're under arrest. He balls his fists up and says, nah, you know what? Not today. Now what? The average person never has to think about that. And that's fine. I accept that. But I also then expect a little bit of that, hey, you know what? Let us do what we got to do. Don't worry about this. And I'm not saying that's carte blanche to do whatever the hell we want. I think there just has to be, there's that middle ground that's gone now. And these kids...
Right.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I...
Yeah,
like,
there's got to be accountability, but let us do what we have to do to preserve safety and freedom.
There has to be, and that's why, I mean, and then I'll let you guys finish it up, but it started for me with Aaron Dean, and for anybody that doesn't know, look into the Aaron Dean incident down in Fort Worth. That man is still awaiting trial as a murderer. The short of it is, go fast, he got sent to a open door, 2 o'clock in the morning. Neighbor called, and who knows neighbors better than neighbors? So if a neighbor is calling and saying, hey, something doesn't look right at my neighbor's house, doors open, lights on, it's not normal. So you're going there as a cop already in your head, this is something. This is something out of the ordinary. He gets there, this is all on his body camera.
Right.
Sees what was called in, lights on, front door's open, he leans in on the front door, again, you see it on the camera, it looks like a bomb hit the house. House looks ransacked.
Okay.
So now in his mind, he's like, all right, now this is a burglary. Whether it's in progress or it's over, now we got some, so he backs out. His own departments, well, first of all, that's tactically sound, because if it is a burglary in progress, you're going to wait for backup, you're not going in there by yourself.
Correct.
4 people in it. So backing out is tactically sound, but it was also in compliance with his own department's general orders. 327.05 for anybody that wants to go look at Fort Worth general orders, hypothetically, allegedly. It says that any open door should be treated as a silent alarm, and the officer's first obligation is to search the perimeter for avenues of escape before searching the interior of that building. That's Fort Worth's own general orders.
Okay.
So he backs out, he starts to walk around the side of the house. Gone out now, flashlight out, looking. Homeowner is in there. She sees a flashlight in her yard at 2 o'clock in the morning. She goes and retrieves her legal gun. She's waiting at the window. He comes around the blind corner. She points the gun at the window. He comes around the corner, sees a gun pointed at him at the house that he now believes is being burglarized, and he kills her. The chief, before... Now listen, is that a tragedy? 100%. Every tragedy, though, is not a crime. That's where the disconnect is. Every crime is a tragedy. Every tragedy is not a crime.
Interesting.
And
when you put it that way.
That chief, he was the interim chief at the time, so
okay.
You already know. They put Aaron Dean on island right away. That chief said he's going to fire him whether they charge him criminally or not. They already... And, I mean, he resigned, which everybody can say... I can second. It's easy for me to say, sitting here and not being in that seat. I think that was tactically wrong. We had no reason to resign. He didn't do anything wrong. But they ended up charging him. He's awaiting trial as a murderer. They charged him with murder, legitimately. Look him up. He's still awaiting trial. And I said at that point, a group of us from the charity had gone on Fox. I forget what show it was. What was her name? It'll come to me. And I had said it then.
Judy Turner?
No. I had said it then. I said, if this is where we are at, if a uniformed police officer, in performance of his duty, in compliance with not just law, tactics, but his own department's general orders, shoots somebody who was pointing a gun at him, if that person is a murderer, we're in trouble.
Right.
We're in big trouble. And now you see this stuff playing out. And again, as recent as the Ohio thing, it applies to military. It's an unreasonable expectation of perfection that is causing more damage, causing us to be weaker, which is causing more aggression, which is causing more injury, which is now going to, and it is inevitable, force us to have to respond twice as hard.
Right.
I mean, and that's the inevitable take back that's going to come. You're going to see third world style policing. There's going to be cops and BDUs and long guns. That's going to be everywhere because it's going to have to happen in order to restore some kind of order, some kind of normalcy, and that is happening because of the narratives that are allowed to keep going.
Because of the what? The narrative? I want you to think about that, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we're turning in right now. Now, I want you to when I said, I'm going to back it up a little bit to my incident when that Afghan police officer came up to me with his hand over his heart and he showed me compassion. It was a big eye-opener of how I looked at the Afghan police officer, the Afghan police, the Afghan military. Okay? It made me think to myself, I can't put these people in one group thinking they're all fucking bad. Okay? You know what I mean? Here's this person giving me compassion in one of the biggest vulnerability moments of my life. Think about that with law enforcement now. Think about that like what you said, the Vietnam veterans. Okay? Some people in our society is looking at our law enforcement like 50 years ago, society looked at Vietnam veterans. There's the bad apples over there, so let's put them all under the same fucking blanket. We're doing the same thing with law enforcement, and it's bullshit. And the only reason why I say that, and I'm passionate about it, is because the people we work with in this organization that we've been discussing, you know, you meet some of these guys, and it's funny, they say the same thing. These bad apples, they hate them too, just like we all do. So instead of stop putting them all in the same category. And look, I'm not a cop, guys, all right? I'm throwing that out there.
You literally said you wanted to be a fireman. just putting it out there.
I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, we got to have more of an open mind in these situations, okay? I don't want to sound like that redneck saying, oh, stop listening to media. But reality, though, sometimes you have to. There is a narrative out there in our society, and we have to stop it.
Well, this whole thing, right? It's affecting with all the other stuff, and bring it back to the podcast. It's affecting the mental health of. Oh no, it's fine.
No, you're good, dude.
Listen,
You're good.
Listen, for all the work you do as my producer, allegedly. If you were my official producer, you know, it'd be great.
What is this guy? But 4-hour show?
It's going to take an effect on the mental health of the officers and their family and their kids and whatnot. And you know, historically, people that, you know, I'm one of the first police officers in my family. I think my grandmom's brother or her grandfather was like a Philly cop back in like 1800 or something like that, right? But no one else was a cop.
Right.
But you do see lineage cops. And if it's gotten to the point where the mental health aspect of it, where you see it's not worth it, and they're dealing with issues, and their families are going to say, I'm not going to deal with these issues, so they're not going to do it. And there's going to be second and third order effects that are years from now we're not going to want to see. But what we're going to have to deal with going forward immediately are these mental health problems. The fact of having to stand online night after night after night at these protests, I haven't done it. I've been very fortunate. Riots, I will hold on. Some have been protests. I will say some. Where I work, we had a protest. It was peaceful. It was well organized. It stayed it. However,
the terminology that's being used, you hear it a lot on citywide in New York City, where these riots are marching down Center Street. They're referred to as orderly. You cannot be orderly if
dealing with the riots and things like that. It will take effect on your mental well-being, and it will compound it. It's going to. There's a breaking point for everybody. Right? We saw. You had your breaking point. I had mine. I tried to kill myself, and he saved me. You had your breaking point and woke up and said, I got to get better. And now you're here. Who knows? And there's, I don't know the statistic of how many cops there are in the nation, but each one of them has a breaking point. And the thing that I don't want to see, and hopefully no one wants to see, is reach their breaking point. Right. Because God forbid, how many suicides will that impact? So the whole purpose is with these new mental health programs is to reduce suicides. I think you and I understand the reality of with the 22 kill and the 22 push-up challenge and all that stuff, right? I think we're realists. Will we ever get rid of suicide? Absolutely not. I think there are two types of suicide. The planned, you're just doing your life is hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting, and finally you said, "Yep, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it," and then you do it. Those are the ones that can be prevented. The ones that can't be, and this is the reason why we'll never be able to prevent 100% of suicides, are the knee-jerk, impulsive suicides. The ones that no one saw coming. I've seen it in a previous department I worked. I believe it was an impulsive suicide. I've seen it with other people I've talked with that had family members that have committed suicide. The impulsive, because the first thing I asked, they say, "Dude, I don't know what I missed." I said, "Okay, let's talk. Talk to me. Tell me about that person." And I go, obviously, and this is speculation, but I don't think you missed anything.
Right.
It's impulsive. You cannot prevent an impulse decision.
One thing I learned in the military, in the Army, I remember our suicide training, was that look for the signs, look for the signs, look for the signs. Like us.
Hey, you want my radio?
It always turned into look for the signs. Yep. Okay? Look for the signs. And it's good. That's good knowledge to have. Absolutely. I would never take that away from like the military trying to do that.
Yeah.
Always look for the signs. Okay? But how many times have I heard situations like you're saying right now, Einstein, of like, well, didn't show any of those signs, and it just blew us all the fuck away when we got the news. Mm-hmm. Okay? What I like to talk about my program is, let's continue to look for those signs, but also look after yourself.
Yeah.
Because it comes down, initially, the only person's fault is the person who acted upon and achieved suicide.
Absolutely.
That's we could say everything.
No one else caused it. There may be issues that compounded it.
Absolutely.
But no one caused that suicide but the person who did it to themselves.
And that's why I always talk about these 3 Ps, the recipe to find those 3 Ps, purpose, passion, part of something, attitude, comfort zone, community. You know what I mean? Community, I think, is, out of everything I said, community is the most important. Because one thing I find out in the uniform world, whether it's military, law enforcement, firefighting, it seems that they don't want to show that vulnerability, but that vulnerability could save your life because you don't have to carry that wave of adversity by yourself. I saw a counselor, man, and I was that dysfunctional veteran. I don't fucking need this, man. I have a big bad, I got a Purple Heart. Like, what the fuck? In reality, when I started seeing a counselor who was a civilian, by the way, not ever military. I don't get me wrong. I saw counselors that were military, but it's funny. Each one I saw, they retired. But it. What ended up happening was I saw one that was a civilian. It was a female, thinking that she was former military. Her name is in this day and age. Her name was Karen, but she was awesome. But she was great. She was great. She had a hat and worked at a vet center. Everyone who works at a vet center is prior military, and she had a hat on her shelf said Afghanistan veteran. So like 4th or 5th session, I was like, where things were going good, I looked forward to going to counseling every week at that time. And I said, so where were you at in Afghanistan? And she's like, oh, that's for another vet, another patient of mine, but I never served in the military. I'm like, the fuck, how are you working here though? She's like, I was an Army brat and we needed people here for work. And it kind of blew my mind because I always think to myself, oh, I'm a veteran and the only person that can help me is other veterans. Kind of threw my whole narrative out the window. You know what I mean? And I think to myself, this vulnerability is actually making a difference in my life and how I react to situations, how my mind thinks. It was like OEW and seeing Karen kind of turn my life around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was a big push moving forward. 3 Ps, attitude, comfort zone, community. I want to keep talking about community. carrying the weight of adversity together. We, the people, we don't have to carry it by ourselves. And right behind you is a very, very good example. Very good example right there, ladies and gentlemen, that I just threw that ball at. That is Cindy the Brick, or Cindy the Cinder Block, whatever you like to call it. I've been working with an organization called the Reverend Warriors for quite some time.
Would it be Billy the Brick? Cindy the Cinder Block's Billy the Brick. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
what Cindy represents is that heavy mental adversity that each one of us as human beings. Very good to see you. Thank you. Every human being, military, law enforcement, citizen, I don't give a shit who you are. We all face those hard days in our lives. Guilt, stress, depression, anxiety. We look at the situation in this past, 15 months, COVID going on. The wave of adversity that holds us down, that stops us from enjoying life. Us as human beings, we're fucking resilient. We can figure this shit out. We can move forward. I got this. I got it covered. These bad days, let's move forward. I got it. But also us as human beings, it's easy for us to fall apart. And what's my next step? What do I do now? That's what this represents. Those bad days that we represent. When we take this out, the other organization I work for, the Oscar Mike Foundation, we take Cindy out with us. And as a team, we carry Cindy. I did a 5K today in Blakely, Pennsylvania, Hometown Heroes 5K, and we brought Cindy out with us. And as a team, we ran with it.
You've done a lot of races with them.
Yeah, I've done a lot of
with them, with Cindy.
Yep.
Yeah.
The idea of Cindy is I'll start with that after a little while. It gets pretty damn heavy. I have a team out there that helps me carry it together.
You can't do it alone.
Right. We all carry Cindy together as a team. I'll carry it. Somebody else carries it. Maybe somebody will carry the brick and I'll carry the chain right next to them. The idea is nobody carries it by themselves. It's the same up in here, man. Don't carry that shit alone.
It's interesting with the community working together as a team with your public speaking and everything. OEW, Oscar Mike, bringing it back to law enforcement. You've actually, by your public speaking and working with Oscar Mike, you've actually affected some police officers, enabling one trooper, Alex Douglas, that was faced with a pretty horrific circumstance. And I want to let you tell that story because, and then I'll jump in because it's a pretty interesting story. But I think your impact on Alex is pretty amazing. Cause,
first of all, anybody out there, Pennsylvania State Trooper Alex Douglas, he was shot in the line of duty, and it wasn't like he pulled somebody over, and it wasn't like he was going to a house. Alex and
Corporal Mike Dixon.
Yep. Corporal Brian Dixon.
Yep. Sorry.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit of Alex's story. Alex woke up one September morning and was going to work, and he went into work. And in Alex's point of view, he was walking outside to go grab his a bag out of his vehicle, and he saw Corporal Brian Dixon on the front porch or in front of the building, bleeding. Okay, on the ground bleeding, and he's like, "What the fuck's going on?" So Alex's instinct, I'm going to get him inside, and we're going to perform first aid. Well, while Alex is trying to pull him inside, Alex got shot by somebody. He doesn't know where. He just got shot. So then now Alex is wounded. So what is going on in this moment? There's somebody across the street from the state trooper barracks in I believe it was Wayne County, just picking off state troopers that were coming out of the barracks. Okay. Just a random act, and this person, Eric Frayne is his name, is the fugitive, and he was on the run for 40-some days, and it was in fall of 2014. It was nationwide news. It was on America Was Wanted, and it was kind of close to it was close to where I live, and unfortunately, Corporal Brian Dixon passed away. Alex was severely wounded and many surgeries, and I got a call from somebody, an anchorman of WNEP named Ryan Leckie, and Ryan Leckie said, "Hey, Alex is passed. He's a runner. That's what he was, a big time runner, and he wanted to run the New York City Marathon coming up. There was no way he was going to be able to run the New York City Marathon in his condition. So we waited till 2015 New York City Marathon. He still wasn't able to run. Ryan Leckie reached out to me and said, "Do you have a hand cycle that Alex could do the New York City Marathon?" I was like, "You know what? I'm an athlete for the Achilles Freedom Team, and I could probably get Alex a hand cycle and a bib for the New York City Marathon. And you know what? I'll do it even with him. So Alex and I, side by side, hand biked the New York City Marathon. And, that built an awesome relationship with Alex. So we fast forward a few years later, we're doing a Spartan race down in
Citizens Bank Park.
Philadelphia Philly Stadium.
Fun race, man.
Yeah, so Spartan with the Oscar Mike Foundation. Yeah. And I asked Alex, I was like, look, dude, I got an extra bib. Do you want to join us? And like, yeah, absolutely. So at this point, Alex is up and walking, and his injuries from his wounds, he got shot in the thigh, and his leg was severely injured, and the nerves in his lower legs were very bad. So he has to run wearing a brace. Okay, and Alex running with his brace, it's clink, 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 stop, adjust, clink, 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 stop, adjust. And I remember at the end of the race, is Alex, I gotta ask him, man, how's your knee doing on that leg? He's like, my knee's doing, yeah, it's good, man. I was like, what's your thoughts about amputation? It's like, I think about it all the time. I was like, let's look at your quality of life. And I guess, I don't want to say this verbatim, but I think Alex, he wanted to wait till the doctors used all the resources before they ever went that. Mm-hmm. And eventually that's what happened. Okay?
Well, that day, I remember you were talking about it. He wanted to exhaust all means.
Yes.
But he had thought about it a little bit. He's like, if I'm going to do it, I'd like to do the osteointegration.
Osteointegration, ladies and gentlemen, is when there's this new process going out for amputees where instead of wearing a socket where you put your stump into the socket which hangs onto your leg, osteointegration is they put a rod in your bone, and the rod sticks out of the end of your stump, and then you just connect the prosthetic to that rod, so there's no socket involved. However,
so I'm in front of these two, and we're talking, and these conversations are so normal to us now, and we're going through the stands of Citizens Bank Park with, I would say, normal people, because I don't think we're normal. And he says, yeah, I'm thinking about osteointegration, and I stop dead in my tracks, holding up the rest of the race, and I turn around and I say, yeah, that's cool and all, but if you do the regular one, you get a drinking leg out of it.
Lo and behold, and, Exhibit A.
Behind me, we have my drinking leg, which has, it started actually traveling with me now. I really can't go anywhere without it.
It's considered medical equipment, ladies and gentlemen.
So, what was it? I guess it was 2-3 years ago. Earl and I were talking. I have a prosthetic ear that I can plug into my head. And I was kind of bitching about how hard it was because I would either lose one or break one because of how active I was, and how the VA was giving me a lot of pushback. And they were it was almost impossible to replace. And he goes, really? I scratched my prosthetic. I can get a new one like the next week. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I got a closet full of old ones. And I'm like, but instead of like trying to figure out how to now get my prosthetic ear more quickly, my mind jumps to, hey man, can I get one of those old ones to drink out of? And he's like, yeah, sure. So it was West Point that he brought up the drinking leg, and that became my drinking leg. And if you ever are with me, I'll have the leg. If you're ever with Earl and me, I'll probably just take Earl's leg off and pour beer into it. It's sanitary. It's fine. Whatever. But yeah, and that's
why Alex Douglas, you broke. Or no, what am I saying? You did. Andrew thinks you did the right thing by getting a socket regular leg.
Yeah, and I think when I was really let down because when we went to the Flyers game, he had. So Alex Douglas, when he got the amputation, 2 weeks after his amputation, he was back in the gym.
Right? Oh yeah, absolutely. So we were in Iceland.
Yes,
remember that?
Yep.
Andrew and I went to Iceland. Spartan hired us to go over there to do their World Championships. When I flew back from Iceland, I flew into Newark Airport. The next day I had to be on The View. I'm friends with Megan McCann, and I had a quick spot on The View. I wasn't on the table with them, but just from the audience, Wade said a few words about the Achilles Freedom Team. That morning, when I was on The View, like 4 blocks away, Alex was actually getting his leg amputated. So I called his wife, after the view, I said, "How's Alex doing?" "He just got a surgery. Don't come by yet." So I just kept busy in New York City. And then in the evening, I went to go see him. And that dude, man, I got to tell you, to think he just got his leg amputated a few hours prior. He's in his walker. "Hey, guys, what's up, man? How you doing, man?" "How am I doing? How are you doing, man?" And a week, it was literally a week, from the day after he got his leg amputated, I brought him my CrossFit gym, Steamtown CrossFit in Scranton. And I like, he wasn't wearing a leg yet, obviously. He still had stitches in his stump. But, I mean, what a rock star this guy is, man.
We have
very determined.
Certain pro athletes that pull a hamstring and they're out for like a month. Just saying. Not going there, just saying. But
you know,
later, he's
determination,
back. Yeah,
man.
Absolutely.
Determination, man. It's a big thing, man. And check out State Trooper, Pennsylvania State Trooper Alex Douglas, man. Rock star.
So he was supposed to get his the socket. And the first, he was on the crutches, and he was supposed to get the socket. The first kind of public event with the socket was going to be the Flyers game that we went to. Yes. I forget, and forgive me, I forget the charity that brings this. It's a gentleman who, he's just a phenomenal human being.
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, and I said, "Alex, I got to be the first one. I gotta pop the leg cherry. Like, come on, man." He's like, "Dude, you're in. I got it." And he had gotten, there was an infection or something like that. So it pushed back the prosthesis. And I was like really let down. And I was like, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm really angry that he doesn't have his leg here. And I'm like, wait, why? Like, hold on, I got to take a step back because I'm like, it's his leg. Like, it's his life. And I'm like, I still have Earl's leg. But we met up later. I forget how long. I have gotten a drink out of his leg, which is awesome.
That's all he wants to do is drink.
You know, it's
every human being with a prosthetic, man, he's going to drink out of it.
I mean, I haven't done the whole
penis fucking weirdo.
Yeah, I haven't gone as far as to steal your leg and gone down a sand dune like someone we know, Kohlberg. But yeah, so like, I mean, you've had a profound impact on, and not just cops too, in your public speaking career. Predominantly, you've toured around the country speaking in prisons to prisoners. Mm-hmm. By the people that our country has said you have done wrong, and your freedoms are now gone. So you've gone in and said, "Hey, here's how to live your life and overcome this adversity."
I'm going to tell you something. And what a book kind of turned my life around. Like, I try to look at every single person in that audience and try to relate to them somehow. I cannot relate to an inmate. I read a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. All right. Now, Viktor wrote the book. His story is he survived Auschwitz. And how did he survive Auschwitz? He gave himself purpose every fucking day while he was, to get through the Holocaust. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to really think about this out there.
Purpose in the Holocaust.
Yeah, can you believe that? Like, if he had to get out there and, hey, there's a rock in the yard. If I get time, I'm going to move that to point A to point B. Somebody out there might, during, in Auschwitz, somebody I meet might be a little more, everyone's malnourished, so let's be real here.
Yeah.
I'll share some of my rations with them. Finding purpose, and he's basically, it's like that's got him through the Holocaust. So what I do is, like, I don't speak to a lot of inmates, but when I do, like, they're one of my favorite audiences. And what I do is, like, I buy in bulk on eBay copies of that book. Right? It could be like maybe 40 inmates in the room, and I said, I get a dozen copies. And I'm like, guys, read this book. It's the only reading this book. Like, this isn't Auschwitz. This isn't the Holocaust, but you are incarcerated, just like those in Auschwitz. Yeah. In a very different aspect. Let's be real here. However,
it's Groundhog Day. Every day is the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Our days are different because we have a purpose and we can change our days. Mm-hmm. They can't change their day, but they can change their day.
Right, they could change it in an aspect of, like, just what they do throughout those 24 hours. They do every day. It might not be a purpose of, hey, I'm hired to do this today. You find that purpose, whatever it may be. Maybe it's building a relationship within, in those walls. I don't know what it is, but that book kind of gave me a different mindset of this guy, of how he changed his mind to get him through the Holocaust, we all could fucking do that. Every single human being.
Absolutely.
So I just think about that. Check out that book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
So, with everything else you've done, soldier, philanthropist, I'm really proud I just said that word. All this stuff. Last year, a year and a half ago, you dabbled in politics.
Yes.
Took a stab at it. Mm-hmm. Don't want to get too far into it. For me, it was interesting. I got to see a different Earl. Mm-hmm. The Earl, I don't want to say the Earl I know and Earl the politician, because they weren't different. Because you didn't change. You didn't become like you weren't a different person, right?
Right.
But it was interesting to see Earl in politics and speaking with you and what you learned. Right.
So I've been asked, 2016, I was asked to run for Congress. I turned it down. 2018, again, I was asked to run for Congress. Turned it down. However, seeing some of those freshmen who got elected in Congress, I'm not going to name names, and how they carry themselves. Mm-hmm. I look at somebody who's an elected official, no matter what it is, you have to be a leader and empower those people who elected you. When you get up there and say, you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim, there's no leadership.
The woe is me.
It turns into more of a divide in this nation. And we need to empower our citizens, not treat them like victims.
Absolutely.
Okay? No matter what cards are dealt with in your life. It's like I said. Remember when I said when Joe passed away and I poured that alcohol down the drain? Mm-hmm. You cannot change the things that happen to you in your life sometimes, but you always change how you react to it. So when somebody is an elected official who has a lot of power says you're a victim, a lot of people, if they don't think for themselves, they're going to say, wow, I'm a victim. I can never succeed in life. This is where this divide is coming in the nation. And I'm like, and I don't want to, besides that.
Absolutely. You wanted to use the way you look at life to better the country.
Right.
And use that in politics.
Absolutely. What did I say before? We the people in community.
Yep.
It's if I became a politician, fuck me, man. I want to empower citizens, the people, like I feel like we do now in charities, to make those differences within a community, because that's what we're doing now. How do we take that message on a bigger level? So in 2020, I was asked to run again, and I was like, you know what? Fine, I'm going to do it. I'm sick of this divide. I'm sick of that. Yeah, I'm a Republican. You could, you're hate me all you want, but it's just like I feel like those conservative values is where I line up with. But I want to get that message out to people to understand how could I take these ideas and this life I lived of empowerment these past few years and put it back into society, because we're losing that. That I truly do believe that, Andrew. Like we need to start empowering our citizens instead of saying you're a victim.
And when you did that, you correct me if I'm wrong. You kind of did you had a grassroots campaign. You didn't you did fundraising. You didn't have a lot of money to do the typical. Political campaigns cost money, and you bootstrapped it, and you lost in the end in the primary.
Correct,
but you caused a lot of heads to turn, which I think in a predominantly Democratic area, that said a lot. From speaking to you and listening to that was what was most interesting to me. I don't want to get into the other side of that primary. Again, grassroots, bootstrapped. It is what it is.
It was very interesting. COVID hurt a lot. COVID hurt me a lot when it came to my campaign, because it's like right in the middle of it is when this all started. Oh, you can't get into public places. I'm like,
awesome.
That's where
what you do. You speak. People listen to you.
That's where I'm good, and that's where I really hit those home runs. When I lost that, I'm like, this is going to hurt a lot. But I feel like, I just tried to keep doing what I was doing and get that message out. Social media is a wonderful thing, but it was definitely tough. But before I lost that ability, it was nice seeing the connections I had within my community, being a speaker. Like, I don't charge schools where I live. You know, like if a school in like Arizona had me come, like I have to get paid to do
That's
that.
your job.
Like, right, I have to get paid. But like, if you're in Lackawanna County and you border Lackawanna County in your school, I'm not going to charge you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think kids need to hear this more than anything, my message. And it was nice. So when I was campaigning, people coming in, I'm a Democrat. I'm going to turn over as a Republican just to vote for you because I know where your heart's at, because you spoke at my kid's school or whatever.
Lot of heads.
And then that alone right there was like, I'm not going to, that's like, man, maybe I do have a career.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know where my political career is coming ahead. I keep getting pinged and pinged and pinged back in Northeastern Pennsylvania, run for this, run for that. I'm never going to say I'm never going to do it again. I really don't know. You know, it was an eye opener.
Yeah.
It was a big headache.
I remember. I mean, the obviously we text daily, and it was that year and a half. I mean, it was interesting. I saw the frustrations, and it was. I think for those of us in our group chat, like it was an eye opener for all of us.
Right.
You know, I think the biggest one was seeing Earl Granville in a suit, vice the Earl Granville we know in his bedazzled jeans. For everyone that doesn't know, Earl has bedazzled jeans. I was a little let down. He didn't wear them. I really thought he was going to wear them. I was going to pick on him really bad tonight.
What's Deadpool when he's like, the G is not a chandelier.
He loves his bedazzled jeans. We make fun of him all the time for it. But, I don't know. Who knows where it's going to next year, whatever. I think there's something there.
Democrat, Republican, I don't give a shit. We just need leadership and empowerment to the people.
Absolutely.
Let's stop this. Yeah, let me turn my. Yeah. Let's stop the divide out there. Let's just stop the divide out there because I'm sick of it.
So we're on the tail end of this. Today is it's ironic that we had to get push back our initial episode from a month ago.
Right.
I think we were both let down because of COVID. We had to shut everything down, and our lovely guy in the booth, Jake, thank you, decided he wanted to get COVID. In the abundance of caution, look, we're not making an argument for or against. We decided, hey, we want to do this right, and here we are. Today just so happens to be Law Enforcement Memorial Day. And behind me with every show is Sean's card. Obviously, you know my story with Sean. That is a big reason how I got involved with OEW and their reason why I skydive now and became a masked athlete. Trooper Sean Cullen, New Jersey State Police. He was killed March 8th, 2016. Sean, I was really close with him, and it crushed me. And if it wasn't for that community that week, I remember that week I was in my garage. Rick Holberg, one of the first OEW guys, I was on the phone with him, just bawling my eyes out. And I really didn't know him that much, but that's that community. Right. And if it wasn't for learning what I did with Gunner and coming back from that hard corner back in 2012, with the community I had now with OEW, I don't know what would have happened. I have an idea. I surmise where I probably would not be today, right. But it's that community that got me here. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that because of events now, today is day one of our podcast, and here we are.
Well, I'll tell you what, dude.
So
can we do something for Sean?
Absolutely,
Sean.
And you know what? To Sean, to Joe, to all those that lost, we're here. We'll be here for a while, and we do it for them.
Absolutely.
And as they all say, skull. I think that means drink or something in some language. I still haven't figured it out. But
it's Viking.
Viking. Yeah, skull.
Yeah, skull.
So, as we wrap up, do you want to give a shout out, a plug to anybody, any organization? You got the mic.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, think about those things we discussed here. I mean, I know it's been a very long show, but thank you all for coming out and hanging out. Check out Operation Enduring Warrior. Check out the Oscar Mike Foundation. Check out Warrior Strong. Check out the Achilles Freedom Team. I know these are all military organizations, but most importantly, think about those words we discussed here. Look, We can't control the things that happen in our lives sometimes, but we always have the ability to control how we react to it. Find that purpose, develop that passion, be a part of something bigger than yourselves. Carry that good attitude, step out of that comfort zone, and be involved in your community. You don't need a uniform to serve your country. Let's all carry the wave of adversity together as a community. You guys tracking?
Absolutely. You guys tracking? It's such a Sergeant Major comment. I'm going to go get my PT belt so you don't yell at me. I'm going to go walk across the grass. Earl, I cannot thank you enough for being here. I think this really set a tone for where this podcast is going to go. I'm looking forward to having you back in the studio. We've talked offline about some plans. There's some other seats you see that are empty. I think we can fill them with some jagaloons. We can have some pretty good conversations in here. But really, from my heart, I really thank you for being here, having these conversations. I think people hearing your story and what you've been through, there's someone out there that's going to hear this, and they might be going through something that they might be thinking about doing something stupid, and they're not going to do it. And I think why you tell your story and why I tell my story is for that reason. If I always say, if I could tell my story to every single person in this world, 7 billion people, and one person decides not to kill themselves because of it, even if I never hear about it, it's worth it to get up in front of these people. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm pretty sure you do it for the same reasons. And so truly thank you.
It's my honor, my friend.
It's been an awesome 3 hours almost. I'm surprised, we only drank a little bit of beer, not too much. For everyone that tuned in, thank you so much for being here tonight with us. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. We have an Instagram page. We're going to be starting up a YouTube. Now that we have finally our first episode, we're going to be posting on YouTube. We're going to try and get on whatever the other podcast places are, Spotify, some other places. I don't know, Apple if we're cool enough. Tune in for our next episode. It's going to be next month. Haven't set a date yet, but we're working on a very cool guest. Can't say who it is just yet, but if you think Earl's cool, this guy's just a little bit cooler. All right? With that, before I go, I just want to say, remember, no matter how bad life gets, survive until Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we're out.
If we were to tell you there's a doctor who truly cares about the men and women of law enforcement and offers flexible hours to suit your busy schedule, would you believe us? Dr. Alex and the staff at Tri-State Health and Wellness have been serving the men and women of law enforcement for more than 10 years. Whether it's physical therapy, family medicine, pain management, or general health and wellness, Dr. Alex is the doctor to see. Find out more and visit BlueTristate.com. That's www.BlueTristate.com. MortgagesForBlue.com from Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. Michelle Hendershot and the team at Homebridge Financial can assist you every step of the way. With over a decade of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today at MortgagesForBlue.com. As a first responder, you can't take care of others until you take care of you first. That's why a simple cardiac stress test can give you peace of mind so you can perform your day-to-day duties without any worries. Remember, good cardiac health includes scheduling a simple stress test, and doing so is simple. Visit www.bluestresstest.com. Do it for you and all who depend on you. VisitBlue.com is an online law enforcement-friendly business directory. At VisitBlue.com, you'll find a wide array of business professionals that support the men and women of law enforcement. If you're looking for a healthcare professional, a real estate agent, home improvement contractor, and even the best restaurants, then it's time to check out VisitBlue.com. Visit www.visitblue.com now. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. Moment to Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a nonprofit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. TheBlueApparel.com. Be blue. Be proud. Buy blue. The official law enforcement apparel source for the men and women in blue. It's not just apparel. It's our way of life. Visit www.theblueapparel.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com.